You ready? You ready down here?
Oh, I can fill one of these out.
I'd like to call this regular Bayfield Town Board meeting to order for Tuesday, October 21st, 2025 at 6:30. Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg,
Here.
Trustee Zazzaro, Trustee Hartz,
Here.
Trustee Katsos, Trustee Moreland, Trustee McLaurin,
Here.
and Mayor Ah.
Here. All rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance. Does the board have any conflicts of interest?
Not at this time.
No.
No.
Going to open it up now for the general public input for any items that are not on the agenda.
My name's Rick Ludwig. I live at 9002 County Road 521. This last rainstorm that we've had, I know everybody thinks it was a big historical. I've talked to two engineers today. I've been through an engineering firms, two of them. Unless we're receiving 1 inch of rain per hour, it's not a major 100-year flood. It's not going to be a big one. It is big that we had, yes. We did have a bunch of rain. We didn't suffer like what Valsita did. My problem is my property is bordering Mustang Crossing. I'm trying to get hay done. I can't even get in the field. It is a mess. I mean, a mess. You walk on it, it's like walking on a sponge. I can't put cows in there to graze. I want to know who's going to be held responsible for this. You know, I'm asking the town to please help me. This is it's bad for me. This is our livelihood. And these guys are just walking over me. We thought we had a deal worked out that they were going to get it piped across my property. The developer comes in and says, no, it's just going to be what it's going to be. Sorry. He tried buying the property from me. I told him, I said, it ain't for sale. This has been in my family since the 1800s. I'm not going to give it up. My kids want to continue this heritage. And this guy is just blowing over me like I'm not even here. Tom, you actually come down and seen what Mesa Meadows was doing. That was a train wreck. I mean, a train wreck.
It was.
Problem we have going on down there is that everything above Mesa Meadows is draining into one little pond that is not designed to handle this amount of stormwater. I actually had to get the county involved. They come down, they had to dig a ditch across my driveway down there at the bottom to put it back over into the ditch, which the bean ditch does not accept. State statute says you cannot put stormwater in a ditch, irrigation ditch, unless it is accepted by the people of that irrigation ditch. That's what I'm dealing with. We've got all this. Another thing that comes along, anytime there's a stormwater event, and this is happening even on a 1 inch rain or even a 3/4 inch rain, we're getting drainage on us. I'm just asking for some help. That's all I'm asking for. I want to save what I got. I don't know what else to say. And it just, you look at this and it just goes away. And I can't deal with that. And so, please, hold this guy's feet to the fire. Make him do the right thing. Get this water out of my field, please. That's all I ask. Let's get it back to where it's supposed to go. It's supposed to go back to the river. And that's all I need. Just preserve what I've got. It's hard for me to look and see my land being destroyed by somebody who didn't even care. And, you know, whenever I get told it's just going to be what it's going to be, man, that's going overboard. You know, not even trying to help solve this problem. I've been fighting this for over a year now with him, trying to get this taken care of. And every time we think we have a solution that's going to help, and I mean, I have been more than helpful with him. I've even tried to, I told him, I will give you the easement. Not even make you pay for it. I will give you the easement if you will just get it piped off my property. So I can at least get back to using. I've lost 2/3 of that field. It's a 7-acre field and I've lost 2/3 of it. And I'm sorry, but I'm just asking for some help from the town board, please. And from the town manager and whoever else can help me here. I'm just asking for some help. Every time I turn around, we just get shoved back in the back corner again. So that's what I got to say, and I appreciate it. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Aren't you lucky? 2 Ludwig in a row. I'm Phyllis Ludwig, 9205 County Road 521. And as Rick is saying, that also affects our property across the road. And that, I'll stand by him 100%, because he is my son number one and because the ranch has been in the family over 100 years. But I'm not here for that tonight. I'm here to speak on behalf of the senior citizens. We are having a bazaar coming up the first Saturday in November. And I understood from our president that we were going to be charged hourly for the use of the senior center. We have never done that in the past. And we would ask that you think it over, or whoever's responsible for it, and not charge the seniors. The building was built for the seniors. The county is one. In fact, I was one of the main ones that helped get it done. As a fact, I worked for 5 years getting that down there. You remember that, Tom?
I was there. I was with you.
Yeah, I went to the county commissioners and got it okayed through them. The county was so kind as to donate the land, and then I went around with the town manager at that time, and we collected enough money to build the senior center. But for us to have to pay rent or any monetary thing, I think is beyond and above. And it is rented out, so I feel that the rent that is collected by the town for the rentals should be enough to cover our bazaar day. That's all I ask. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees.
That's not working.
It's not working. Hello, hello.
Oh, there it is.
Sort of. So we did receive a note from the seniors wanting to use the bazaar and asked for a waiver of that, and it was granted. I personally granted it.
And they didn't tell me that.
So it's been taken care of. There's not going to be a fee for that.
Thank you, John. You have my vote.
So that will be taken care of. I agree 100% with Ms. Ludwig. It's their center, and it's for the benefit of the community as well when they come to the bazaar. So
Appreciate that, John.
Yeah, thank you.
Can we do something about the water,
I
too?
was going to say, can you take care of the flooding now?
I was about to say, what can we do as the board? I mean, it's asking for our help. This, I mean, as long as I've been on the board, this has been a problem. You keep reading about it, keep hearing about it, you know, people are losing their farmland. What can we do?
Mr. Mayor, Trustee McLaurin, as you guys are aware, the town did have a master drainage plan that identified a lot of projects that are necessary. I was talking with Ms. Ludwig earlier about the Schroeder Ditch issue, and as you're aware, those projects they're numerous, but this year, I mean, it takes money, it takes planning, and we do have scheduled to go after the first phase of the drainage project, which will start with the Schroeder Ditch issue that's up north of town there. And that's a big project. It'll probably cost over $1 million. And then we have probably another $200,000 in smaller projects, replacement of some of the undersized culverts. But there are a number of drainage issues that existed long before the town of Bayfield annexed these areas, especially along the parkway. During the rain, I was out getting my feet all muddy, looking at the different areas, taking photos of our retention ponds, and you know, we do have some challenges out there in some areas, both in the city or in the town and in the county as well. There are some drainage problems that are clearly outside that are affecting us, and we can't ignore them all, but I think if we can continue to press and keep a priority on getting those drainage projects taken care of from that list, we will not only help the folks that are within the town, but the folks that are outside of the town as well, that are on our you know, the right against the edges of the town. I think everybody's going to benefit from that. I agree. We need a nice drainage conveyance from town straight down to the river, and I look forward to working with both our citizens that are here, the town, and as well as some of our neighbors to try to get a conveyance. It'll require property, it'll require money, but I think we all realize that we've got to find a way to get that water down to where it should be, which is our river. So it's not going to be solved overnight. I wish it was an easy one project fix, but these projects were created. I mean, the problem was created when, you know, people started moving into a certain area, and you know, we've had people move into low areas, and you know, they've created some problems by moving in there. And then of course we have other projects on top that we need to watch where that water goes from those projects when they start putting pavement or whatever on. We need to make sure that those meet our requirements. But you know, I hate to say that it's going to be a multi-year fix, but it will be a multi-year fix. We just need to remember to keep those in our priority list, continue to knock pieces off of that drainage master plan, and then identify some other bigger ones like the main drainage ditch that takes drainage off of the mesa and gets it across and down safely into the river. That's needed, and it's recognized. And I know I spent quite a bit of time driving around with Jeremy. I know the mayor was driving around personally looking at some of these areas. It is necessary. I realize it, and I'm going to continue. You're going to hear me during the priority sessions as well to continue to remember that drainage plan, because it is a good drainage plan. I did read through it. As you all know, that was one of the first documents I read before I even took the job. And I think it's a doable plan, but it's going to take multiple years. I think we're looking at least 5 to 7 years of good heavy investment to try to take care of knocking those projects off one at a time, as well as having our engineers look at the mesa and seeing how we can get it off of the mesa down to the south and east to get it into the river. We're going to have to find a location to do that, but that's going to require working with our neighbors outside of town as well, because we've got to get through some of that property. So, you know, I definitely appreciate Mr. Ludwig talking about the possibility of easements. Those will be things that we all need to make sure that water gets to the right place and, you know, safely.
How about some grant funding? Are we looking for and identifying any possible, or
Yes.
Army Corps of Engineers or somebody?
There are some grant funding. There is some grant funding out there, and I believe that is something that we will have available to us. We do have a fund that I believe we can utilize money in your budget to match for additional monies, and you'll see that under the stormwater budget when we get to that later in the year. Well, November, we'll probably be considering those, but you'll see that there is something on there that, and if you look on that page, it talks about a $1.3 million project. That would be phase one that I've identified, and I've sat down with both our engineers and with Jeremy, and we pretty much figure that we need to make sure that we take care of that issue with the Schroeder ditch. We certainly don't want to see that wiped out, and that'll be a problem for everybody here. And we're members of the Schroeder ditch as well, so we want to make sure that we take care of that. So that'll be a top priority with the staff that we're going to recommend to you, as well as maybe some of the smaller ones. We'll get 2, maybe 3 projects taken care of with this first phase. That's what I'm estimating, depending on the money that we get. But we're looking for about a $1.3 million project. We have the 0.3 we need to go after the 1 million, and I'm fairly confident that we can get out there and be competitive. But there's, you know, how the federal situation is right now. We're gonna be real aggressive. I can promise you that. It won't be for lack of trying.
Can we put some pressure on Mesa Meadows Homeowners Association to clean out those ponds?
You know, my suggestion at this point is, this wasn't on the agenda, and Mr. Ludwig very appropriately offered this up as public comment. My suggestion is that perhaps you give some direction to your town manager with regards to addressing these issues, so that we're not sitting here on the fly trying to resolve these matters
Right.
without really thinking about them.
Okay. If we can get that on a future agenda. Is there any other general public input? Okay, moving on. Has the board had a chance to look over the agenda?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
I got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg,
Yes.
Trustee Harts,
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin,
Yes.
and Mayor Ah.
Yes. Partnerships, nonprofits, and NGO budget considerations. First up is Region 9.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I have a question on this because I know this has been brought up before. And maybe this is a question for Attorney Goldman. Is it okay to use town funds to move forward? And if we decided to award all these and it's appropriately budgeted, that we can move forward?
As far as using funds that are directed toward nonprofits and so on?
Well, the funds that taxpayers pay in,
Yes,
is that okay for us to,
correct. There
Okay.
is, yes, there is statutory authority allowing municipalities to do just as you're doing, earmark specific amounts toward those that are applying in this situation for grants.
All right.
So this is appropriate.
all right,
Yes,
thank you for that.
you bet.
Mr. Mayor?
Are they all nonprofits?
If I may, just, one of the things that I had mentioned before, and I think I've mentioned this before in a budget, in one of our budget workshops, the NGOs that are presenting tonight provide some type of service that's a benefit to the community or the members of the community. I think that's, between that and some of the other organizations that you've talked about in the past that are purely charity, I think that's the difference between those that are presenting tonight and then those that will present in the future. I think we've talked about a way to address those through voluntary donations, which we think we've got some of that taken care of for the near future. We'll have to get a policy to you for those types of funding, but these actually provide services, whether it's economic development or transportation or something of that nature, to the community itself. So it is of benefit. There's a tangible benefit to your citizens for the services they provide on behalf of the community. That is the way that I view these NGOs that are presenting tonight.
Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, you're up.
Thank you. My name is Laura Lewis Marchino. I'm the Executive Director of the Region 9 Economic Development District in Southwest Colorado. And we are one of 14 planning and management regions in the state, and obviously number 9. We weren't very creative with our name. We also serve as the Southwest Colorado Council of Governments, so we were formed to serve our member governments. Obviously, Bayfield is one of our 17 government jurisdictions that we work with. In your packet, I enclosed a letter as well as a performance report that we do annually for each county and municipality to specifically show what we do each and every year, so that you can see the programs and services that we provide. We are asking for $5,054. This is an annual contribution. All our member governments contribute. The total is $160,000 from all 17 governments. So it's based on population, and Bayfield's one of our smaller communities. And how we use this to leverage grants and services that come down through the state and federal government. For example, all of our programs tend to be programs that cross county lines or municipal lines. So we work on broadband. And for example, the town of Bayfield has some dark fiber through their broadband infrastructure that they see a direct benefit, about $3,600 a year that comes back into the town of Bayfield for the dark fiber that was built in 2014. We have a business loan fund, so you'll see in the report we have a list of businesses that we have worked with. in the town of Bayfield specifically last year, as well as the catchment area. That's our largest program. We also provide transportation planning, so there are a lot of boards that governments need to serve on, as you are all aware, because you're appointed to several of them. Transportation Planning Region is one. All hazards, we actually do regional grant administration for all of our emergency managers when they do regional applications. So obviously, we've been working a lot with Viacito over the last couple of weeks. We also are managing opioid settlement dollars that came into our region through the opioid settlement. So anything that really covers more than one government, we tend to be involved in. We also do data. We've done livable wage reports. We have data on our website. One of our newer programs is we have a grant navigator, and that started after COVID. So we have a grant writer that does grant research, grant applications, grant review for any government that lacks capacity to write or report on their own grants. And I know that Manager Waters is aware of that. We actually just appointed him to our board of directors. So we do have a representative from each government on our board. And we basically, I don't know if you have any particular questions or information, but we are looking at doing a return on investment for our government membership dues, because we know that that's something you're looking at, and I understand that budget constraints are not getting better. But for the 5,000 that you have provided, Region 9, we have leveraged over $1 million over the last 2 years, and that's a 20%, overmatch of that money. And so we just want to let you know we're working on a formal ROI that we will be presenting in our performance report at the end of 2025. We have just started working on that this year, and that includes our grant navigator services, enterprise zone tax credits, some of your housing grants that you received over the past few years, as well as SWORD grants that are going to Upper Pine and the like. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to try to answer them, or if you need any specific information.
Yeah, I think you just answered mine, because a 20,000% return on our money caught my attention.
And now I have to
What?
show you all the
And
details.
now you have to show me. You said an average annual ROI of $1,044,000. An average annual, which means we actually got $2,044,088
Over 2 years.
over 2 years.
Yes.
What did we get that for? I mean, what was that? This includes direct wins. What are the direct wins? Because I get all the other stuff, but are we really putting $2 million into that to help 6 businesses in Bayfield?
Oh, no. You're only paying 5,000. We are leveraging an additional $2 million from that 5,000.
So we're not really getting that as an ROI.
Well, I would say it's a return on that $5,000 investment, because we are helping businesses, we are helping the community receive grants, we're getting transportation dollars, we're getting broadband funding, we're getting opioid settlement dollars, all of the programs that we're administering that directly benefit Bayfield.
So are you saying that Bayfield got $2 million worth of benefits?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
And it says this includes direct wins. Can you just give me an idea of some of the direct wins, and not those that are grouped in for all the towns and municipalities and counties, like the enterprise zone tax credits, transformational? I get those are all shared wins, but this includes direct wins. Can you give me a couple specifics about that? Like, did we give $500,000 to a Bayfield business? Did we do a loan for somebody?
Yes.
What exactly?
So one example would be, we have 6 current Bayfield loans for Bayfield businesses, and those total over $300,000 that we have loaned businesses in Bayfield. We do startup loans or pre-bankable loans. And so that is one service we provide. We also work with Bayfield businesses on enterprise zone tax credits, so they actually, if they are in the enterprise zone area, which is a distressed area, Bayfield is currently part of that, and they can get tax credits simply by locating and doing business in Bayfield. So we track those amounts as well, and that is going to be another 200,000 that we brought in tax credits. The Transformable Affordable Housing Award that you got in 2023 is really what's been doing a lot of your housing development that's currently underway. The CDOT intersection through our transportation planning region, every year the area governments get together and decide where that money is going to go in terms of local projects. So it's things like that that I consider direct wins. The business loans are indirect, honestly. So we do have a calculation of that because yes, it's directly helping that business, but that business is now paying, you know, the town is receiving sales tax and property tax and things like that. Good
And-
questions. And I'm happy to send more specifics. I didn't know what level of detail that you needed.
And you have 5 businesses here, so and you mentioned 6 businesses, and one of the businesses is TDL Recycling, which I think is in Gem Village.
Yes, and they actually closed. So,
Okay.
but this was
So
the,
now
this was 2024, so we'll be doing another report
Okay,
in
so you have 6 this year.
2025. Yes, and then we also have, so just in general for La Plata County, we had 26 loans that paid off in the whole La Plata County catchment area. So a lot of our loans are very small, short-term loans, so that, you know, those businesses change every year, and those businesses, we hope, remain open.
okay, thank you.
So, do you get any money to, do you give any money to Roadrunner or help them out at all?
We do not give them money directly, but we administer the Transit Council, which is regional. So we meet quarterly with all of the transit providers, public and private, and try to work on how we can leverage routes, dollars. As you know, there's never enough money. So specifically with Roadrunner, in the next CDOT 10-year plan, there is money to do transportation between Pagosa and Durango, which we would hopefully try to align Roadrunner with. It may also be something that Archuleta County comes into Bayfield and then Roadrunner picks up. You know, we're trying to do connectivity across county lines. That's really where we work.
Okay. Does this board have any other questions, concerns?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Are we going to approve these or not approve these?
Oh.
Or-
No, not this time.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees, they're simply making their presentations at this time. Of course, your budget process is going to continue through November, so at that time, during whatever our budget meeting is going to be where the final approval takes place, that's the time in which that you will sit down and decide which of these get funded and at what levels they get funded at.
Okay, thank you. Next up is La Plata Economic Development Alliance.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Town Council. My name is Sarah Tober. I'm the Executive Director of the La Plata Economic Development Alliance. The Economic Development Alliance, also known as the Alliance, was formed 25 years ago by the Durango Chamber and the 4 governments of La Plata County. That includes Bayfield, Ignacio, Durango, and La Plata County. At that time, it was decided that they wanted to have an economic development organization specifically for the county and those governments. And those governments agreed to help fund the alliance by paying $2 per person in their population. And since that time, we've had a lot of iterations of the alliance, but we have stayed true to our critical mission. And the 3 pillars of our mission include building business capacity, workforce housing, and workforce development. So last year, we tried to raise $120,000 for the base of our budget for our operations through our investor members. And while we fell a little short of that $120,000 last year, we still put in $1.1 million into the economy through workforce housing, building business capacity, and again, through workforce development. So I included in your packet specifics about those dollars, those actual dollars that went into our community. And then in addition, some other highlights include that we are on track this year to put in $1.25 million into the local economy. And we have, I've been in front of you all this year a couple of times around the early child care investment strategy and fund, and we have been able to raise funds for that investment fund in order to benefit all of the child care ecosystem throughout La Plata County. But we have targeted Bayfield and Ignacio because that is child care deserts in our opinion. And we've been able to already secure over $500,000 for this fund. We are likely to hit about $1.1 million here in the next couple of months. And again, that is public, private, and philanthropic contributions, so they are each leveraging each other's. And we are looking to make systemic changes in childcare, including the pay of early child care providers. We have also partnered with Region 9 on a new data dashboard that you can see on our website, as well as our 18th Annual Alliance Summit, which brings in 350 to 450 people and also has a lot of economic benefit as well. We partnered on the AI conference. We helped lead that last year with FLC, and we're partnering with them again. We had 425 participants last year, and we expect about the same this year as well. In the building business capacity, we have our Alliance investor member meetings every month, and we have about 75 to 100 people there, and Bayfield is represented as one of our public partners, as well as on our board, of course. And then under Attainable Housing for Workforce, we have the Catalyst Fund, which we've raised $1.2 million for, and we've deployed $600,000 of that, which is achieving almost 600 attainable units throughout the county, either new or preserved. And then the Catalyst Revolving Loan Fund is under the RHA, and we have stood that up. We were able to secure that $1 million fund. We secured all of the agreements around it, the account, and we've deployed those funds. And two of the projects that have received those funds to date include Pine River Commons here in Bayfield, who was also a Catalyst Fund recipient as well. We've also provided staff for the $190,000 DOLA capacity grant that the town of Ignacio secured, and so we have helped to deploy that. And that is, we're working right now specifically with the town manager on a fast-tracking project with Prop 123 that will not only help improve those policies for fast-tracking workforce attainable housing, but it will also mean that the town of Bayfield should receive $50,000 this year through that capacity grant. So we're very proud of the work that we've done in partnership with Bayfield, and that's my timer, and so I will stop for questions.
Does the board have any questions,
Not at this time.
concerns?
No, it's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is the Homes Fund.
Hello. Hi, my name is Pam Moore. I'm the Executive Director of the Homes Fund. I have a little PowerPoint I brought that,
Flash drive. Yep.
pardon?
Go ahead and talk over.
Okay. So you're going to hear tonight folks working on housing issues. We work directly with home buyers. So we're doing financing for home buyers. We do home buyer education. We do one-on-one financial counseling, and we're preparing families to get a first mortgage. We do our loans based on household and family size, based on where the property is located. And I wish you could see our income charts. We're helping families between 80% AMI and up to 150% AMI, depending on, again, the number of people in the household. So people in that 80% AMI bracket are getting a 30% down payment. So a lot of families are getting over $100,000 of down payment assistance. What our flagship product is a shared appreciation loan, so it has no monthly payment. So in that instance where someone's getting a 30% down payment, they're only having debt service on 70% of that mortgage. So that's a really helpful tool for affordability. And how we get paid back is we share in the equity proportional to what we put in. So if we help someone with 30% down payment, we're going to share in 30% of their gain. And what's really great about that is our loan fund continues to grow as people pay us off, and that shared appreciation money comes back. I have some specific Bayfield outcomes.
So they never have to pay that money back?
They always have to pay that back, I hope.
The 30%?
Yep, they pay back the principal and the share of appreciation. Yep. So I have
Wait, I'll wait
Go
till
ahead.
the end, sorry.
Well, let's see, slide number, which slide is this? Slide number 5 is an example of the shared appreciation loan. Oh, can we look at the income limits real quick?
Just go ahead, go ahead and do your presentation.
Okay.
And then
Let's just
maybe
look at
it's in
slide-
there and I'll see it.
Let's look at slide number 3, please. So those are our income limits. Again, it's broken down. We have some money for first-time home buyers, which is the first year we've actually had to delineate our loan funds. But, so again, a family of 4 making $94,000 is eligible for 30% down payment assistance. And then we're all the way up to that 160 with some different programs. But that slide number 2 down, that one. So that's how the shared appreciation loan works. So in this example, someone buys a house for $450,000. We help them with $60,700. We've helped them with 13.5% down payment. That house sells 8 years later. Let's say the house is now worth $500,000. They've made $50,000 in appreciation. We're going to share in 13.5% of the appreciation, because that's what we put in at the beginning, and they also pay the principal back. So we get both back. And what's really great about our program is we've revolved millions of dollars that families have paid their loans off, comes back in, we get to help another family. Two more. The next slide, we do have amortizing loans. If someone doesn't like the shared appreciation loan, there's pros and cons to both of those. The next 2 slides are just some new programs we've started. If a mobile home has been moved more than once, it cannot be financed through Fannie, Freddie, FHA, VA. Those are perfectly fine housing units. We have secured funding to do a 3% first mortgage on those properties. So those are big loans. Those are up to $400,000. And on the next slide, we have started a down payment assistance for construction loans. So we have families call our office wondering how to put a mobile or a modular on a lot. Banks want 20 to 25% down to do that. We're now doing the down payment assistance in tandem with TVK Bank. So 2 new products that we've raised money for to, again, help homeowners buy or build houses. The next slide, we do have a homebuyer education class in Bayfield every year. This is a picture from our class in Pine River. The next slide is our Bayfield outcomes. So we counted up everything at the 81122 zip code, and we've got, in fact, we can add to that because we have 3 people at Pine River that are in our pipeline right now. So we will, we'll put $454,000 into Pine River Commons. So that's going to go up over $6 million. So you can see we've got about 37% of our lending in town limits, and then 63% and the rest of the zip code. The next slide is the subdivisions where we're working. Again, this is loans we've done by subdivision, and then on the right-hand side is by dollars. The next slide, these are our La Plata County outcomes. So this is 2024 and cumulative since we've started, but you can see we've put about $13 million of down payment assistance out into the community. Something I'm really proud of is we have a default rate of 0.003, which is pretty exciting considering the lending that we're doing and that we're in a junior position on all of our loans. The next slide goes over the services we're providing specifically for Bayfield around deed restriction management. So for Pine River Commons, we're reviewing all household income. We're issuing those qualified buyer letters. We're making sure all the deed restrictions get recorded. We're going over the deed restrictions with each buyer, and then we'll do annual compliance to make sure the folks that are in Pine River Commons are using those for primary residences. So down at the bottom, you can see we've issued 19 different qualified buyer letters. Not everybody goes on to purchase a house. 8 of those went on to purchase, and again, we've got some people in our pipeline. And over the year, we did 2 letters at Fox Farm. So Fox Farm volume just depends on what's happening in the market. Some years we do 6, some years we do 1. And then the next one, if you just have anybody who wants to figure out how to use Homes Fund, they just go to our website, they go to class, and then they come in for that one-on-one counseling. So any questions about what Homes Fund does for Bayfield?
So then the down payment is a second mortgage.
It is a second or third or fourth. We're doing
Right.
some interesting
It's not
stacking.
free.
Definitely not
Okay.
free. It's not a grant.
Okay.
It is a loan.
And if I saw that right, the majority of yours was in Forest Lakes?
We have a lot of loans in Forest Lakes. That is correct.
Okay.
So obviously you didn't mention Cinnamon Heights subdivision because
Oh,
nothing's
we
happening
would,
there.
yep, we would definitely offer services for Cinnamon Heights when that gets
Okay,
going.
so my question is, this last year we paid you for services for Cinnamon Heights, Fox Farm, and Pine River Commons.
Cinnamon Heights, we have a draft deed restriction that they can use whenever they're ready to go, so that's been done, and then we'll start working with them when they get vertical.
But you're not working with them now?
No,
So will
'cause-
so you've asked for a chunk of money. Will that chunk of money go up because you're
No.
actually doing something with them next year?
Well, we will, so I've been in contact with Andrew. Once he gets going and when he starts vetting home buyers, we'll definitely be working with them more. But we have the deed restriction, and when they get ready to sell, we'll provide the same services that we're providing for Pine River.
Okay, thank you.
Does the board have any other questions?
Not at this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Next is the Regional Housing Alliance.
Good evening. My name is Pat Vaughn. I'm the chairman of the Regional Housing Alliance. I'm a retired real estate development professional. I don't have a nice PowerPoint. I'm not an executive director. I'm a pure volunteer in my retirement years. I'm very focused on housing at scale, and a lot of this is because I have 3 adult kids who have college degrees and don't live here. They can't afford to live here. And that wasn't the case for most of us. Most of us in this room own our home. Most of us. And I think we're pretty fortunate about that. Today, things are totally out of whack. And I mean totally out of whack. I had lunch with a banker today from Bank of Colorado. He built a house in 2021 in Edgemont, and it cost him $250 per square foot. He talked to that same builder, and today, that same house would be $500 to $550 per square foot. Certainly, our incomes haven't matched that kind of increase. I sent you guys a letter in September, and I can read that if you'd like me to, talking about what RHA does. And we are very wed at the hip with the Alliance and with Homes Fund. They do phenomenal work, but we complement each other, and we each have a different component that really tries to produce housing. My whole thing, I'm kind of agnostic at who does it, how it's done. I just want housing at scale. We as a country, this isn't just a Bayfield issue, it's not just a La Plata County issue. We have underbuilt since the Great Recession. Every single year we have underbuilt versus the population gain that we've seen. And so we are really behind the eight ball, and now costs are that much higher. What the RHA does is it combines 4 government jurisdictions. It combines Durango, Bayfield, Ignacio, and La Plata County. And they each have their own issues, they each have their own focus, but they all realize that housing's critical to the employees, the people that make this place tick. I'm not talking about the homelessness piece. That's tough, but it's a separate issue. This is for the folks that make the place tick, okay? And we are going to lose those folks if we don't figure out a way to provide housing. It could be for sale, it could be for rent. Again, everything is kind of in the bucket for me. I think the RHA has done an admirable job in the last couple of years, especially with the Catalyst Loan Fund that Sarah mentioned. That is a specific fund of $1 million that gets deployed at below 2% interest and sometimes subordinated to a senior loan to help those developers bring down their costs. And I think Brad, who's in the audience, can attest to that. He is selling units in Pine River Commons right now and successful at it. Rock Creek, which is in Ignacio, has been very successful as well. And, you know, we have 25 units that are up, and most of those are sold, and we have another 10 that are under construction. So that's tangible evidence of your participation within the Regional Housing Alliance. That participation is critical. Having 4 jurisdictions coming together has a lot more power at the state level than each of us one off. And the only reason I'm chairman is because I'm the member at large, and I'm not with any of the jurisdictions, so I don't have any conflicts. So they kind of said, okay, you're chairman, you know, that's the only reason. But the reality is I'm here because I'm passionate about the issue, and I've been involved with this business for well over 40 years, and I want to help make a difference, and I want to help you guys make a difference for the people who make this community tick, and that's the people who work their butts off every single day. And I'd be happy to answer questions.
So the STEER committee has come up with an informed plan for a permanent sustainable funding source for RHA, Catalyst Loan Fund, ARPA funds. Do you have that with you?
The STEER committee was formed about 2 years ago with lots of different people from across the county. Mm-hmm. And they represent all walks. And my focus, I got on the RHA board when I retired about 3.5 years ago. I was appointed. And it quickly came to me that we need money to make this thing function, okay? We're going to be asking the different governments for operational funds, but then we have to chase grants and we have to match grants, and we really don't have the funding to do that. And so the STEER committee went through a number of iterations and would like to propose a ballot measure. Could be 2026, could be 2027, but they landed on a 0.2% sales tax increase to help fund, and specifically to help fund, 1, operations, so it doesn't have to come out of your general fund every year. 2, increase the Catalyst Loan Fund. So if you can imagine, we have $1 million loan fund right now. If we were able to grow that by $1 million every year, in 10 years, we'd have a $10 million loan fund. And if you're loaning money at less than 2%, you're making a real difference with that kind of money. We're also looking at the Catalyst Fund, and I know those two things can be confusing. The Catalyst Fund utilized ARPA dollars, which are going away. They're done. So there's about, I don't know, how much is left in there? 600,000? Mm-hmm. 500,000 left in there. Once that's expended, it's gone. So that Catalyst Fund, which is critical pre-development costs for builders and developers, and banks won't loan that kind of stuff. It's for, soils reports and environmental reports and the pre-planning stuff. And it's all the at-risk dollars. It's not all, but it's helping cover some of the at-risk dollars to get a project moving to where it actually can come to staff and start talking about something real. So that's part of it. The other part is some land banking. I'm a land junkie. I've been dealing with development for a long, long time. And that's where you start, okay? If you don't control developable, entitled land, then you're not going to get anything built. And so that's what we would look at for utilizing the money if a ballot measure went to the citizens and it was passed. Sorry for the long-winded response.
No, you're fine. No, that answered the question. Thank you.
When,
Go ahead.
when did you say you're gonna put it on the ballot?
It could be 2026 or 2027. We have to raise a lot of money through the private sector to actually go out and do the work, do the polling, get it on the ballot, and get it in front of folks. And once we get in front of folks, then we got to find out, well, they don't like this piece, but they like this piece, so we may have to recast it. This ballot thing is a little bit new for me, but the reality is we're very focused on finding a way to fund something that's tangible and doesn't have to take money away from your general fund in the future. The final thing I'll point out is that we are very conscious that every jurisdiction is having to tighten their belts. And we're doing that right now with our budget and trying to reduce the cost to Bayfield. Last year you paid $11,543. It's based on population. So the county paid the largest share, Durango paid a significant share, Bayfield next, and then Ignacio last. Ignacio is actually willing to increase their share this next year. So I think that's important.
So these are the 2026 RHA plans. Can you translate those and tell us what we're getting out of those? So we know what,
Sure.
like what specifically is, like a regional housing action plan? Do you have
That's
one of those
the-
for Bayfield specifically?
That's-
Or is that,
That's a requirement by the state.
okay,
And so the RHA has the ability to pull all the things together so each individual jurisdiction doesn't have to pay for an individual housing action plan.
yeah, I remember hearing about this. So we know for sure that we don't have to do it again. That Bayfield doesn't have to do it because you guys have done it.
Yes.
We know for sure.
Yes,
Okay, cool.
yes.
That's good.
And we got grants to help us cover that as
Okay.
well. So I think that's an important piece too.
Okay. Apply for, distribute, and manage fast-track bonus grants for each partner jurisdiction. We don't have any fast-track bonus grants active right now, or do we?
You will.
We will?
You will be getting $50,000
For,
because you're going to complete your fast track by the end of the year.
what's the 50,000?
It's a grant from the state for completing the fast track requirements, implementing that before the end of this calendar year.
Okay. And then grant funds for technical support? What is, how does that affect us?
That's, we've had grants for drafting deed restrictions. We've had grants for assisting each entity in specifically how they deal with housing. We also have to chase, since every entity within the RHA, every jurisdiction opted into Prop 123, we have to do specific reporting on progress on Prop 123. RHA does that on your behalf.
Okay.
So there's there's a lot of things in here that we are trying to accomplish in 2026. This probably isn't the full list, but the reality is having the jurisdictions work together gives us the ability to have a bigger voice at the state level, especially with Department of Local Affairs and the folks that administer Prop 123, which is CHAFA does a lot of that. You know, if I could close, unless there's other questions, I'm a volunteer. I'm trying to make a difference in our community, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't think this was valuable. And so I would ask you to consider, we're going to try to come back with a honed number that's less than what you paid last year. And we're working on that right now. But the reality is, I think you get direct benefit from the RHA. And I wouldn't be here advocating if I didn't think that. Yes, ma'am.
What is a rural resort petition?
Pam, you could probably explain that better than I can, but it's a state definition.
So the state has designated all of La Plata County as a rural resort area, which means that we have it's a higher cost of living here than the rest of certain, like, compared to like Lamar, Colorado, for instance. So all of the grants that they do and the Prop 123 counting, so this jurisdiction opted into Prop 123 3 years ago and said, we're going to commit to a certain number of housing units we're going to build over the next 3-year period. The end of that 3 years is the end of 2026. So you have to have built a certain number of units, and I don't have on the top of my head what number you committed to.
14, I think.
It's probably something like that.
Yeah,
That sounds
70.
about right, 11, 14, something like that.
We have 70.
So, but those units have to meet a certain AMI level. They have to be at 100% AMI or below for ownership. Pine River Commons is at 140% AMI and below, which means they do not qualify for your commitment units. So we can apply to the state and say, hey, La Plata County is a rural resort and we think we qualify for 140% as our AMI number. And if they approve that, then all of the Pine River Commons units will count. And so we want to apply for that for all of the jurisdictions under one application on your behalf. That's one of the things we want to do.
Yeah, because it's not a number for just.
It's not.
It's a number for the whole
Once the
jurisdiction.
county is approved, every jurisdiction within the county
Right.
qualifies.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
If that, I hope I explained that.
You might want to say who you are.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm Pamela Flowers. I'm the acting manager for the RHA.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one. You said the development Rock Creek. Where precisely is that in Ignacio?
Sure, it's up on the mesa, directly behind the Southern Youth Growth Fund building and adjacent to the Quechas Hill Heights apartments that the tribe owns.
Okay.
So, and what they did was mostly on the perimeter, single-family detached lots, and they contracted with Fading West Development out of Buena Vista for modular homes that were brought in and stacked and built on site.
So it's not tribal land?
No.
Okay.
No, it's fee land.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's all I have.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Roadrunner.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Town Board. It's good to see you guys again. We have a PowerPoint that we had provided, if we can possibly bring that up. I think what I would like to focus on is not so much the PowerPoint. I would like to show some numbers of the ridership for '24. But I think what's more relevant is what's going to be happening going into '26. Hopefully '27 is going to be a better year. As you know, in order for us to get the 5311 money, it all requires match. So we sent an application with the for the ask of 27. The ridership numbers for the fixed route that serves you guys is on there with that application. Also, there is a 2026 budget that is included. with that. And I would like to talk about that 2026 budget, and then Chloe Jackson is behind me, and so she's here to kind of answer the financial aspects of things, because I'm sure there may be questions on this. As far as operations are concerned, and where my concern is we're going to be good until the first of the year. I do not perceive to get anything from La Plata County, zero. Last year we had 80,000, or excuse me, Chloe, was it 40? Did they cut it to 40? So we did get 80, it was cut to 40, and we're probably going to receive nothing with some of the things they're going through. So if you look at that 2026 budget, we had projected, we're hoping to get 60,000 from the Plata County. I don't see it. I don't think it's going to happen. And I think that we're not oblivious to things. I think everybody is experiencing some difficulties, financial difficulties along the line. And I think the biggest question is how do we keep transportation going at the same level of service that we've been doing for 24, this year, and 23. I went through some numbers that I want you to be aware of, because I think really the question gets asked, it's like, well, fixed route, you see those numbers, but what portion of those numbers served Bayfield residents, right? What does it actually do? We combined the numbers, and so we started doing some of the data reporting differently, and it will be done differently. So I had to go through every single route sheet that was a daily route trip sheet. And I went through those 25 numbers, and from January, let me pull this out here. So from January 1st, 2025 until June, and we are currently still tabulating the numbers because, again, lucky us, short personnel, lead driver changes, things like that, because of lack of personnel. We are still inputting most of that data for 25, and I do have 24s. But for 25 alone, from January 1st to June, Bayfield riders alone was 464, which means you're getting 77 using the fixed route every month for just the transportation for fixed route. That does not include the county DAR, which we had expanded in 23. The ridership numbers in 24 for the county DAR in 23 was about 1,200. Right now, we are sitting at over half of that number, and we're projected to be about 30% over that. So probably county DAR numbers for this year, if it keeps going the way it's going to be going, is probably going to be at about the 1,500 mark, I would imagine. As you know, we have the Outrider bus that comes through that stops at the Bayfield Library. We expanded the county DAR, and that does service all of La Plata County, which includes Durango. The most popular use with the county DAR has been the airport service. It's by far exceeded the expectations. We're busier than we ever thought we would be with it. And again, when you're short personnel in the first place, it causes more capacity issues. And we're even running short on vehicles. We're have another van that's going to be coming to replace another aging vehicle. So I don't know if you guys remembered, I think we spoke about this 2 years ago. We got 2 new cutaways, we got 2 new vans, so the fleet has been upgraded. We're steadily working on that. That's where some of the money has gone. And did you guys receive the
PowerPoint is in their
Okay.
packet, their
Okay.
slides, yeah.
There's going to be some pictures, and I wanted to show that to so you guys can see the new cutaways, what they look like, what the vans look like. But back to the county DAR, I believe the ridership numbers are probably going to be 30 to 40% higher than what they were in 2024, which is about 1,200 on that. The other thing I think that's important that you guys should know that I don't think that has been reported to you. So we also have the DAR that's always existed for quite a while. That's served Ignacio, and Chloe, what was that, 23? We expanded the Ignacio DAR into Bayfield? So Bayfield is served by fixed route, it's served by Mustang Outrider, it's served by the Ignacio DAR, and it's served by the county DAR. And I think in essence, there's a lot of transportation options for Bayfield residents and now for county residents for all those services to tie into each other and get there. And I can tell you that the 2024 numbers, so not only do you have for 25, up to June of this year, you had 400 and, what did I tell you here, 464? For 2024, on the expansion that we did in Bayfield, you had over 400 riders in Bayfield alone to use that last year. The Mustang Outrider, I wish the numbers were better there. We looked at that. So for the Outrider in the Bayfield location, you had 54 rides. And it's usually the same people using it. We've noticed that there's a couple residents that live here that use it to get back and forth to Grand Junction, and most of that is for medical. I guess, you know, in closing here, I hope you guys know what we do at this point for the town of Ignacio, and I hope we have proved the worth to the residents. The operations are a mile and a half down the road. We operate right out of Bayfield. Everything is there. We are hoping to do some expansions going to Pagosa. We're going to have a meeting tomorrow with a representative from Region 9, and I don't really know what that's going to look like, except it should be a benefit to Bayfield. And we're hoping to tie transportation into the whole state of Colorado. So when I came on board about 4 years ago, we had specific services that were just local services, but again, it's a different thing. All those services combine to get through the whole state of Colorado. So you can go to the Durango Airport, you can go to the airport in Grand Junction. You can get to the airport in Montrose, and you can make national connections with Greyhound, or again, through the airport. So not the same transportation that it was, you know, several years ago or 5 years ago. I think that if we do get short on the county, I don't know, you know, I can't project something that's not there. But what I can tell you is, without getting too deep in the woods, we're going to have some discussions with the Southern Ute tribe. We have supported those operations for a long time, and it can't go on. We're going to have to make drastic reductions within that, probably by about 50 to 60%. The county DAR that we work so hard to start, if we don't get the match that we need, I don't know, Chloe, you can talk more about this. I'm thinking that we're going to probably lose about maybe 30 to 40% service reductions on that and start furloughing some employees, because you can't run on funds and money that you don't have.
Good evening, everyone. I'll
Go
just
ahead.
jump in real quick. So it does look like we're not going to get La Plata County funding. I mean, we've asked if there's any way that they reconsider, and we will see if they can, but their budget, as I'm sure a lot of you know, is pretty rough. We did apply for funding from Common Spirit again. They did fund us a couple years ago to help get CDAR going. And so we do understand everybody's budgets are rough, but without our local match from all of our local municipalities, we can't run transit because the 5311 funds do require match. One of the things that we run into is an issue, for one, there's not a lot of grant funds out there for transit. People see that should be funded publicly, which it's not fully publicly funded, and so that's kind of a struggle. And we don't have a dedicated revenue source like parking revenue or any of that where we have money coming in that just supports it. So we're always doing our best to be, you know, very much conservative in our budget, and also very much creative in how we can make it work and take the match and make the most of the match with the federal funds.
Well, and I think being creative with the funds, I think there's some other things here. Being creative is like, how do we be creative with the funds when you don't have the money? So we've gone with, formerly it was United Way, now it's Team Up. But so we got with Team Up, and although it's not a lot of money, right, every little bit helps. So we got with Team Up, we did the summer youth program. That seemed to work out very successfully. And that added $7,000 to our budget. So we're consistently looking for ways
Ways that we can help
Roadrunner Transit
and other agencies.
and other agencies. You know, the match is important, but again, people, we all know everybody are going through some hard times. So we need to be creative as well, and so we are doing that.
So you mentioned the Southern Ute Tribe, because I know you guys do Dial-A-Ride in Ignacio. What are they willing to contribute?
So we receive a federal grant through them that is a 5311C that only they can get. And those funds have actually been reduced. The grant has been reduced over the last couple of years. And so we kind of started supplementing that Dial-A-Ride, especially after we did the expansion to Bayfield, to be able to maintain that level of service with the CDOT 5311 funds, because it allows for Dial-A-Ride service also. But that then also requires match. So what we're going to have a work session with them about is them being able to kick in, hopefully, potentially, in addition to the award that they get, that they pass through to us, some additional local match to help cover the match that is being used for the Dial-A-Ride program in Ignacio and the expansion to Bayfield.
Because the majority of them are tribal members, correct?
A good majority, not all. But yeah, I mean, well, in tribal members and tribal descendants and other native, but then we have a lot of ridership.
So, and I can answer that, right? We see the numbers every day. I could tell you, probably 70% of them are tribal members or other tribal member, but it's public transportation. And so it's, for them to receive those funds, it's open to the general public. So, about the other 30% are, whoever.
Thank you.
And one of the things that we will have to look at, we haven't done this in a while, and we try to minimize rate increases because those that use public transit, it's usually difficult, and so we try to keep it where it is affordable. But that is something that we will probably be looking at, in 2026. We don't want to increase it any more than we have to because we want it to be usable, but those are the areas that we are looking at, many different areas, but we do appreciate, any support that you guys can give us. And we have definitely increased our transportation options in Bayfield over the last several years. And not only do people ride it from Bayfield, but from Ignacio and Durango to Bayfield. And that's kind of the beauty of it, is people can get, wherever they need to be within this area.
Well, and again, remember, we're 1.5 miles down the road, and we're always available. So if there are ever any questions, or if you need any financials, you need data, that's what we do every year. That's how we get our funding, is through data and through those numbers. So that's our business. So if you ever need anything, or if you just have general questions, we will keep you updated. I am not sure where this next year is going to go. It's really going to depend. If Centura doesn't come through, La Plata County doesn't come through, then we'll do it. We'll survive. We'll do the best we can.
We're going to do our best to maintain services as they are, but there is the potential for reduction if the funding doesn't come in.
Absolutely.
And thank you. And if you guys ever, want to go to Grand Junction, ride ICB.
I have a couple questions.
Yes.
So last year, I thought that Roadrunner was just running one time from Durango to Bayfield, 7 o'clock in the morning and 7 o'clock in the night. And you just mentioned that there's been additional routes. So what are those other routes?
So with the fixed route,
The
we
fixed
actually.
route, the fixed route is the one that goes into the transits? Can you tell me what the fixed route is?
I sure can, absolutely. So it serves Ignacio, Bayfield, and Durango. We used to do one trip because of some reductions from a while back before I was here. So we picked up that service about 2 years ago, and we started doing multiple trips to Bayfield with the fixed route. So there's 3 trips a day provided to Bayfield through fixed. What we found, and this is a national trend that's happening. It's not just Bayfield, but microtransit is a service that is a demand response, so it requires a reservation. So if you need to go to, it doesn't matter, it could be to the doctor or it could be recreational. But what we are finding is the people want to do that because if you can, you don't have, if you take the fixed route, you've got to do all the stops. Or you can call the county dollar or the dialer ride, and if you need to, if you know you're going to the airport, you know you need to get to the doctor or shopping, and you're gonna do that on Tuesday, we run that service 5 days a week, and if you call us, you make the reservations, we'll go to your door, we'll pick you up, and we'll take you back to where you need to do. So it's just another transit option, but I've noticed, and the numbers are telling us that we do a lot of medical transport with this. And we do a ton of airport, lots of airport. I can tell you, you have several residents, well, there's residents all over the county, but I can tell you half a dozen people in Bayfield alone that use the airport quite a bit.
So just for clarification, the fixed route is set stops between Ignacio, Bayfield, and Durango 3 times a day. And then the county DART requires a 24-hour reservation, and we operate from 6 to...
It's 6 to 6.
6 to 6, but you have to call, it has to have a 24-hour reservation. Then the Ignacio Dial Ride, or DAR as we refer to it, is in Ignacio and Bayfield, and that is ran from 9 to 6 currently, Monday through Friday, and from 10 to 6 on Saturdays. And that you just call and, get put on the list, and sometimes we could be there within 5 minutes, sometimes it might be 20, 30, depending on where the driver's at, but it doesn't require the 24-hour notice. But that's only in Ignacio and Bayfield, between Ignacio and Bayfield. We only, how far outside of those perimeters?
A mile.
A mile outside of that. And then, of course, Bustang Outrider, the ICB route, has a stop that starts and ends here, but goes to Durango and then clear to Grand Junction. That's daily, 7 days a week.
And then, so is there a different charge for the fixed route compared to the other ones?
Yes.
And so there's a premium for the other ones? Okay.
Well, if you call $8 a premium, yeah.
I mean, over the fixed route.
It is,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah.
And you gave us a number, 444 from January to June.
464, I believe it was.
464. And what kind of riders are those? Are those the DAR or the?
No, those are just the fixed riders. That doesn't include the county DAR riders.
Okay, I have 77 for fixed riders.
77 a month.
77 a month for the
Okay.
fixed, yep.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Again, we can put the numbers specifically and pull those specific, and we're actually starting to tabulate Bayfield because, again, some of those were never done. It was just grouped together.
We'd have to go through and do it manually. So now we've created the spreadsheets where we're tallying it every month, so we can look at it monthly and then in aggregate get a lot easier so that it's not so much manual labor.
Okay.
And you'll have those, but anyways, we want to keep this thing moving efficiently, but, between the 77 a month and between the county dial ride, going to Mercy Medical, going to the airport, going to different places, I can comfortably look at the panel here and tell you that we're definitely probably serving it 100 a month, close to that number. It could be more. We did 16,000 rides in 2024. I would imagine we're going to be up to like 17, maybe pushing 18,000 rides, or at least that's where we were going. But again, some things are going to be uncertain, and we would like to continue that level of service, and we need the help in the match.
Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. Women's Resource Center.
My speech is on my phone. I apologize, I didn't print it out. Thank you all for allowing me to come and speak tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm from the Women's Resource Center. My name's Katrina Patterson. I'm the program manager. I've been with them for about 2 years. I did come and speak with y'all, I think it might have been February, so in the beginning of the year. So it's kind of a little bit about the same. Thank you for everybody speaking here. You all are so inspiring, so this was really fun to watch you. I'm coming to talk to you all again about Get Your Girl Power at the Bayfield Intermediate School, and the opportunity to share the impact of that program with y'all. In May 2025, the Women's Resource Center proudly brought Get Your Girl Power to 46 fifth graders at Bayfield Intermediate. This program was designed to build confidence, resilience, and leadership It helps them face real-world challenges and cyber safety, healthy habits, relationships, and conflict resolutions. And let me tell you, this year was a lot of conflict resolution, so it was a fun one. The results were really inspiring. 100% of students and participants said that they had fun and felt empowered. 90% said that they were empowered to solve their own problems. And nearly all students reported growth in key life skills, from online safety to healthy habits to emotional well-being, but that conflict resolution. One student even said, I learned how to advocate for myself and my friend. And for me, like, that's why this work is so important, is because this youth, this group of kids are our future. With over $3,800 in volunteer hours contributed, this was truly a community effort. Our facilitators, partners, such as Mountain Studies Institute, Say So, we had a life coach with us this year. We all helped create hands-on workshops to help learning for 5th grade girls. Looking ahead to 2026, because I know that's what we're talking about. And again, I did come in the beginning of the year, so if it's more appropriate for me to ask for this funds in the next, I guess it should, at the beginning of the year, then please let me know. I can definitely do that again. We plan on introducing a boys program partnership, and I'm hoping to do it with a couple different organizations. This was a consensus between school counselors, school officials, all the facilitators, and students, including the boys. They want to be a part of it as well. So I've been really trying to maintain good relationships with a lot of the organizations here and in La Plata County to help facilitate this, because it's a really big passion of mine. I have 2 young boys. This is my chance to work with girls, but I really want to facilitate it for all kids. Your support, we asked for $1,500, and your support will help us empower kids, young people with the knowledge, voice, and the tools they need to thrive. Together, we can ensure that every student, boy and girl, can actually have access to all these tools and have the courage to speak up and the resilience to succeed. Do you all have any questions for me? I know I did send you a couple reports and such, so. Yes.
Well, you're asking for 1,500, which is what you asked for before. Okay, but how does that include the boys program?
Because I'm not actually going to be facilitating the boys program. I'm reaching out and collaborating with other organizations to do it kind of parallel to our program, but aside. So it wouldn't be providing funding to that boys portion. They will be doing that on their own.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Community connections?
Greetings, good evening. I'm Tara Keene, the President and CEO at Community Connections. I'm honored to be here to talk to you again this evening. Over the past couple of years, we have been through some remarkable changes at our organization. In November of 2023, because of some changes in state and federal regulations, we became the regional case management agency for the 5 counties down here in Southwest Colorado. And what we are doing as that case management agency, we did put all of our direct services into a new 501c3 that stood up and is operating all on their own now. Our little baby is out there, flown out of the nest. But as the case management agency, we are serving families, adults, older adults in our local communities to ensure that people who have disabilities, who have complex needs, can stay here in their communities. You know, a family has a child with that has a developmental delay or has a disability, isn't having to move to the Front Range to get services. Someone who is aging and is having more complicated needs and support needs, they're able to stay here in this community and get services in their home. So we're the entity, the state sponsored agency that really connects people to those resources and ensures that they can stay in this community, live in this community, work in this community, play in this community. We also, because we've kind of shifted our focus, have really tried to lean into more community needs. And over the past year, we've developed a couple of new programs that directly grew out of what the communities were telling us. One of the big things we keep hearing is people who are trying to apply for disability benefits for Social Security, for SSI, for Medicaid. It is such a complicated system, and people, they end up getting denials, having to do appeals, and it is this really stressful, overly complicated process. So we were able to leverage some funds and now have a disability benefits navigator that's going out into all of our communities, and anyone who needs assistance filling out the forms, gathering all of the documents, we have a bilingual case manager who is able to do that. The other really exciting thing that we have just now kind of coming to fruition, you may be familiar with the La Plata Health Improvement Coalition that was meeting 2023 into 2024, really looking at what are some of the barriers to healthcare access in La Plata County. And one of the things that came out of that work, one of the suggestions was creating a community care hub. So a way to really connect all of the resources, all of the, community-based organizations, all of the healthcare providers who are doing great work tend to be really disconnected in that work. And so finding a way to really make that connection, make sure that referrals go someplace, that a doctor makes a referral to a community-based organization, they know what happens with that referral, they have some feedback, they know what's happening with their patient. And so really ensuring that there aren't gaps in services, but also aren't duplications in services. And we were really fortunate to be awarded a proof of concept grant from the state of Colorado to stand up this hub. So we are just in the beginning phase of doing this. But what's really important to us as we are trying to meet those community needs, being able to show funders that we have that community investment from our local communities, that you believe in the work we're doing, that locals are making that investment, that then private funders, state and federal funders can then really be reassured that we have that commitment here on the ground level. So we really appreciate all the support we've received in the past, and we hope that for a modest investment, you really are getting a lot for your community members here in the town of Bayfield.
Does the
Yes.
board have any questions?
So you are providing services for just this area, Bayfield and Ignacio, or you go into Durango?
We are 5 counties. Yeah,
Five
so
What
we're
are those 5 counties? That was my-
Archuleta, Dolores, La Plata, Montezuma, and San Juan counties.
So San Juan, New Mexico?
No, San Juan.
Over Silverton.
Silverton,
Okay.
yeah, our neighbors up north, yes.
I was just curious because for the case management services, that's done a lot by MANA in Durango, for Durango residents, and also by
Right.
Access.
So it's very different populations. So we are specifically working with people who have disabilities, who need help with like somebody coming into their home and helping them get dressed in the morning, helping them fix meals, getting them into the community, helping them go grocery shopping. So these are very kind of basic foundational core needs for the
Those are
specific
services you
population.
provide?
These are the services that we connect people
Connect
with.
people to.
Mhm.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Thank you.
Great,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much.
Small Business Development Center.
You're welcome. Hi, thank you for having me this evening. My name is Mary Shepard, and I run the Colorado SBDC serving Southwest Colorado. Similar to other organizations, I serve the 5 counties and the 10 towns and cities in that community, and then both tribes. We are a program of the Small Business Administration. It's a cooperative grant, similar, I think, to the transportation services, where we do receive grant fundings, but we can only draw down what we can match. So we do ask our local communities to participate in that. Fort Lewis College is my host organization. They do provide the bulk of that match. But we do go out to the towns and the cities and the counties. I'm also hearing from La Plata, who has also carried kind of a lion's share, that they're not going to be able to support us this year. So we are looking to our communities. Bayfield has been a supporter of the SBDC. We ask for a modest donation, as you can see. The work that we do is in economic development, but more specifically in business development. So we provide no-cost, one-on-one confidential business consulting to startups, existing businesses, businesses looking to transition out. So exit planning is a big piece of the work we're doing now as we're going into the silver tsunami. Businesses can access our services. So the center is run by two full-time staff, myself and my business manager, and then the rest of the services are 1099 business consultants across the region. So it is qualified business consulting. We can also tap in. The Colorado network is statewide. We have statewide programs that we can leverage. We have statewide advisors. So if I don't have specific areas of expertise, we can bring other advisors in. So those advisors we do pay at $50 an hour. So this helps me support that, helps me support our general operating budget, but most of that comes from I could probably do most of the operating budget strictly out of what Fort Lewis matches and what we can draw. But if I can draw down 100% of my grant, and so the rest of it goes into what we can provide in direct services to small businesses. And I did put some numbers in the letter that you received, which I think you have. Happy to, I think I pulled some down just for La Plata County, because I think those are complete. But since the beginning of 2020, we have worked with 950 individual clients in almost 3,000 hours of consulting. That's resulted in 81 business starts. I should explain that the impact that we have leading indicators, lagging indicators. Leading, those are numbers we can directly tell you, how many businesses we worked with, how many hours. The lagging indicators, those are the numbers that are shared with us by our clients. They are not required to share any of that information. So this is only a part of the impact that we have. I would also argue that some of our impact is actually walking people through and helping them understand why that business might not be a good way to spend their retirement money, or so there's two sides to the work that we do, and sometimes the impact that we have is not recorded or not recordable. So this is just what we can record or what has been voluntarily reported to us. So, but 173 jobs created, 169 jobs retained, over 13 million in capital formation. So that's loans and personal investment into businesses. Over almost 3.5 million in increased sales, and about 1.5 million in contracts. And again, that's just what's reported. So there isn't really any other organization. There's lots of business organizations. We work really hard, especially in La Plata County, to know what our swim lanes are. And to not be duplicating efforts. So we don't do what chambers do. We don't do what economic development organizations do. We're not a local first. We provide something very specific to businesses that isn't provided anywhere else. It's that one-on-one qualified business consulting. We also have trainings and workshops. So we do starting your business workshop, QuickBooks workshops. We do a leading edge class. It's a 6-week business planning class. So we do all kinds of stuff like that, and then resources. So I can connect businesses with all kinds of resources. And again, we work with businesses at all stages, and I think you guys know that small businesses are pretty much all of our economy in Southwest Colorado. They are the new businesses, and business starts are, providing new jobs to the economy, more revenue into the economy. So, the payback on this isn't just that this is happening, but it's, the larger economic impact that happens when we have new businesses, because they do create jobs and they do create new tax revenue and all of that. So, any questions?
Nope.
It has actually been an honor to be here with all of these people, and I do not wish I had your job, because it's got to be really hard to take the dollars that you have and allocate those when there's so many great ways to do it. So I do thank you for the time. Questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Sweet.
Okay. Next up is the 2025 Colorado Wildfire Resiliency Code Overview.
Give us a minute, Mr. Mayor, here, and we'll get that pulled up for you.
Thank you.
ready? Hi, I'm Shauna Lagarza. I'm with La Plata County. I work in emergency management, and I'm here to share some information on the wildfire resiliency code that was passed by the state in this last summer. So I'm trying to share my screen and just present some information on what this new code is for everybody. So it's called the Wildfire Resiliency Code. What is it? It's a new Colorado state law. It's a building code that was developed by the state of Colorado after the Marshall Fire. Sorry, yep, I can hold it if you want. There you go. So it was developed after the Marshall Fire, and they put a bunch of people together, firefighting authorities, insurances, and builders, and folks to make a code for all of Colorado. They worked on that for 2 years. I was part of the folks that listened in on those calls. The state adopted the code this last July in 2025. We did put some, as La Plata County, some recommendations into the state because they wanted everybody to adopt the whole code. And so we had them break it out into different classes and different categories of yellow, orange, red, and different things. So there's a website. You can go and get all sorts of great information here about when the code was passed, when you have to do something by, and when you have to implement the code. So I built this XMine platform to share this information with folks, like what it is. See if it changes for you. Yeah, it does. And then why should we do it? I have a very quick video here that should go to kind of set the stage for why you need this. So let's test our technology. Yeah.
Starting this Labor Day in Gallatin County with the latest on the Bridger Foothills fire.
It's hot and dry, the perfect ingredient for a natural fire. It has a long way to go, but if the wind changes direction, it could be scary.
Typically, these things start as any other day. Once I saw it hit the timber out of the meadow, I knew that we were not going to be seeing the same hillside ever again. In that span from when I saw the spot fire to when we left the house was 45 minutes. But it wasn't until we got to the interstate that my wife had mentioned, I hope we have a house to come back to. And that's where we sank.
An update tonight on the Bridger Foothills fire burning near Bozeman. Officials tell us flames have destroyed another 2 homes, bringing that total to 30.
Went down the driveway, there's nothing but a chimney and a burnt truck. I wasn't prepared for dealing with leaving my home. You could only have 10 minutes. Not just to save things in your home, but save yourself as well.
I mean, as we're seeing across the West, wildfires are getting bigger, burning hotter, and lasting longer. Now more than 250,000 structures have been destroyed by wildfires since 1999 alone. These risks are only going up. The problem's not going away. My name is Kimmy Barrett, and I am the lead wildfire researcher and policy analyst at Headwaters Economics. I work with communities across the country to design, plan, and adapt to increasing wildfire risks.
Forests burn. They have forever. They burn. And now that we're putting our houses within those burn zones, people just need to realize that they need to plan to give themselves a better chance.
The reality is that we need to learn to live with these increasing risks and build our homes, neighborhoods, and communities to be better adapted to increasing wildfire.
My understanding of fire danger to that point was I'm in a low risk area because I'm on the creek and I'm away from the timber.
So embers account for a vast majority of homes being lost during a wildfire. Up to 90%, in fact, of all homes destroyed during a wildfire are due to embers. So when you think about the construction materials of a home and making it more wildfire resistant, it's equally important to think about what's on and around the home itself.
How you successfully plan for a house, that's another huge one. You know, we're talking about ignition resistant materials. Well, it's a much bigger picture than just what's on the house, it's what's around the house that's very important. I started realizing I had a house that would have been in trouble. We had choke cherry trees planted right next to the foundation wall, surrounding lilac bushes, wood chips. I saw it as a challenge. My architect was a good place to start. The first question that they need to ask is, can I improve my situation? Start looking at the big picture and going in on the details. What are the fuel sources around the house? Can you start to clean that up so that if there is some sort of a fire in the area, maybe there's a natural barrier to where they're not having, tall grasses to the house itself. Then kind of create that non-combustible zone next to your home, say a 5-foot zone of non-combustible material. That instigated a lot of ideas. If an ember falls on the roof, where's it going to go? My focus on the new house was combustibles and areas where things get trapped.
We know how to build safer, smarter, more durable homes in wildfire-prone areas. We can do this cost affordably without having to sacrifice architectural distinctiveness and aesthetic design.
Building is not cheap, and rebuilding is even more expensive.
As a homeowner, there are things that you can do today to mitigate your risk against wildfires. Start with your fire department. Also talk to your neighbors.
Have a good interface with architect, designer, builder, subcontractors. The more that you are engaged in that process, it might even save you money. Bottom line on ignition-resistant materials is, yeah, absolutely. You can put them on any home at any price point. You know, anybody can do it, and it's not difficult. They're common materials that are utilized. I think about this home that I built and so proud to build and share my story with. And I think about wildfire every time I look up at the hillside. This fire in Bridger Canyon was perhaps the biggest reminder our community's had. It's on everybody's mind. People know that this is a real issue that needs to be addressed.
As we unfortunately saw with Bridger Foothill fires, there's a lot of homes that were not built with wildfire in mind.
And the ears are open now more than they've ever been to the risks of wildfire and home construction.
We have the research, the science, and the engineering to build smarter homes that can withstand a wildfire. This is a problem that we can solve.
So the reason I wanted to share that, because what's unique about the new wildfire resiliency code for the state of Colorado is it has your building components and it has the site assessments, right, as part of the code. And so as I show that to you in the X mine, then that'll help kind of understand the uniqueness of the code, right? So we know wildfires are threatening all across the country. That's no new news. I was a wildland firefighter for 31 years. I was also here in Bayfield as an FMO at one point. And so now I'm emergency management, and my job is to help mitigate risk and protect the community. And so I'm showing you today information about the code. We put together a code task force, and I'm the facilitator of that task force. And the Wildfire Advisory Board, Brent Leisure is with me here. We help organize that and share information for jurisdictions to make decisions about what they want to do. We want to be in it together. So within La Plata County, we have 8 agencies having jurisdictions and governing bodies. You know what those ones are. You've seen them on the screen, and we want to come together as we work through this important code. The code is very detailed, has a lot of information on it. They did a lot of work on it. And it comes down to 2 options that you have to do before April 1st, pretty much, right? So those agencies having jurisdictions and governing bodies, which I just showed you in town of Bayfield, of course, you know that, you are one. So you have 2 options. You can either adopt the state code and the map as it is, or you can don't adopt the code and make your own map, which there's 2 choices. So if you decide you want to adopt the code, and the map, now the map, I'll show a map quickly for you here. If you adopt the code, then we can enter in different agreements with each other to see how we make things work. So you issue building permits, we're not sure who does site assessments, we'd have to figure some of that out. We being collectively people in our task force group. You can make modifications and updates to your map, because there might be some areas in Bayfield that you feel that aren't orange or should be yellow or not red, what have you. And I have the Bayfield map pulled up. And you can implement your fees if you want to make a fee structure for that. That's if you adopt the code and you go through the process by April 1st and then be compliant by July 1st. Now, if you decide that you don't want to adopt the code, you have 2 choices. You can develop your own code and you can make your own fire risk map. If you develop your own code, it has to meet or exceed the current code, and it's due by April 1st. That and the map. The fire risk map that is put in there has fuels, weather, and topography based on fire intensity across the landscape that could affect a general area, and it takes a lot of people that have fire behavior modeling skill sets and computer analysis to do those maps. It took us a lot of work to get the map that we have. In some places across Colorado are kind of brown shooting the map because they've adopted the code, so they're looking at areas on the map where they want to make changes. And then, so your other option, if you don't want to adopt the code, you can just punt it back, for lack of better words, request support to the state to assume the local enforcement of code. So the state would do your implementation, the state would charge your citizens within your jurisdiction their own fees, they would keep the money, and you can't modify the map. It's an unfunded mandate, so those are the options that you have underneath what the code does. I wanted you to see the map here, so I'm trying to get to this screen. It shares that screen, and then I pulled up the map earlier for you all. So here you are in Bayfield, right? This code does not apply to federal, state, or tribal lands, and the cities and towns are unique. So I don't know the boundaries of the town of Bayfield. That's for the task force and your leadership to look at this map and go, hey, this shouldn't be orange, this should be yellow. Like, yellow is a class 1, and I'll get into that on the X line. It's a low fire intensity type fire that would burn in that area. Orange is moderate, and red is high. So with the code, remember, you have the building part of the code, the structure, and then you have your site assessments. So yellow is low. So you have a certain few things that you do on your structure and a few things that you do around the structure within the WUI, defensible space areas. So if you adopt the code, you can make changes to your map, and they send it up to amendment folks committee that's up there at the state. So those are the two choices as you move forward for you to think about. And then the challenging thing right now is really, how do we proceed? And these are things that the task force has already been starting to talk about. We had a meeting today, the task force saw the same presentation. So the current situation, there's agencies who issue building permits. Here's the people in our general area that do the building permits, right? And here's the people that don't, right? Fire departments don't issue building permits. These folks issue building permits. And then, so that's that part of that code. And then here's the people that do site assessments. This is your defensible space. We do them a lot with we do them a lot with Drain Fire and the Wildfire Watershed Protection Fund. We do them free, right? Drain Fire, we help them, we go out, we look at the house, we go, oh, you better take the mulch out from around that 1 foot zone and stuff. So currently, these folks have it, and currently these folks don't have it. So there's some opportunity for things to occur in that kind of general area. And so, you know, as we try to get everybody making that first decision about what you're going to do, then we move into these next examples, you know, how we're going to make it similar for somebody who builds in Bayfield, that builds in Ignacio, that builds in an unincorporated part of La Plata County. And so this is where a lot of work is going to happen with this task force that's together, and you all have a seat at that task force. I'm the ringleader of the task force. So, you know, you update your code with these new code requirements that you have. So the new code has structure hardening and defensible space, right? Structure hardening includes a few things. If you fall on that yellow area that I showed you on the map, that's class 1. These are class 1 and class 2, and these low, moderate, and high is what La Plata County presented to the state to break down parts of the code, because they were going to have everybody do everything in the code. And so the Wildfire Advisory Board and myself and our commissioners, we went up, we said, we can't do that. You need to break it down to have different categories for us for where people build. So if you build a house, a new home, or 500-foot addition, you have to do this for your class 1. And if it's class 2, you do these other things. That's for the building itself. Now, if you have that same location, you have to do some things for your defensible space or your site. So in class 1, put a sign up. What's your address? You'd be amazed. In La Plata County, we need to have more signage of who lives where. We try to find locations. I mean, we've been here all week with a lot of water in the area, and so signs, retaining walls, fencing, some basic stuff there. And then class 2 has some other things. And I've done a ton of work on this code. I have all sorts of information to share. So those types of things are going to have to go into your process for how you issue building permits or how that happens. And I don't know how that is, but from an outsider, it seems like that's where that kind of stuff goes, you know. Then as we move into this new situation, this is where we need to have a lot of discussions. What can we do to help each other? And I've just been putting down some big ideas here. And even from the meeting today, we had some ideas. You know, what does it look like from who's going to do what? I have an example here. Scott buys 20 acres in an area protected by Durango Fire, because I didn't have time to build one yet for Upper Pine. It's been a busy week and a half. So a person buys 20 acres in an area protected by Durango Fire. La Plata County issues the building permits like we always have, and Durango Fire checks off the box that says they completed zone 1, you know, of that. That's just an idea. And how does that happen in your general area? That's great. City of Durango's all in. They're going to do the building permits, and they're going to do the site assessments. Town of Ignacio briefed them last week, their thumbs up, they got some great communities down there where they're already building to code. The county is in, Greenville Fire's in, Upper Pine is in, and then as we go through with our task force, you know, how are we gonna do all this so that we have the same type of form for site assessments across our La Plata County, and the state has forms already built, and they match things that are in the forest. So that's the wildfire resiliency code in a nutshell. It's very complicated, but I'm just here to share the facts.
Yeah, that was good, thank you. Because all those
I'll always be
pages,
around if you need me.
all those pages, like, wait a minute, what is all this? So
It is. It's
that
very
helped a
big.
lot.
Yes, you're welcome, and I'm a resource for you all. I want to help use for that, so that's it.
So one quick question. So does the insurance companies have access to this? Because I know there's certain zip codes when you put in 81122, they're like you're in a high-risk fire zone. So I'm wondering how this would apply to getting certain homes insured.
Yep, so the map is I can't speak for the insurance companies, but the map is, anybody can Google your address. I Googled Bayfield to get here to look at your maps. I think some folks, when I talked to Marcia, Commissioner Porter Norton, this past summer, she was working with the commissioner, or the insurance folks at a higher level to see down the road if we can use that to lower the insurance rates for folks. I don't think all the committees that work on that are there yet, but anybody has access to that map, you know, for that. So there's no answer right now to that question, but I believe people in higher places than myself are thinking about how to make those two things match as we move forward.
Thank you.
Is this going to apply to existing homes?
No, so this is, there's a lot in the code on that, so this is new build, and there's differences for 35 acres, with, how many buildings on the 35 acres, and if you're adjacent to another subdivision, or if you're not, it's all listed out, so it's new construction, and it's 500 square feet or more, and they even talk about, is it the 500 square feet up, is it 500 square feet out, so there's a lot of devil in the details on those, parts of the code.
What's this going to do to the cost of, nobody can afford
No,
a house
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
What's this going to do to the cost of housing?
Affordable
I mean, you just saw
housing.
all those people were in
Right.
here, they're like, affordable housing, RHA, Economic Alliance, they're all telling us housing's not affordable. And they don't have to tell us, we all know.
Right.
This is just going to make it worse.
Yeah, I'm just here to deliver the facts. But no, yeah, so, you know, and that's why I think I showed the video, like, you know, how do we make it, you know, how do we work through it together? And I think that there's ways that we can work through it together, but you're right. It's an unfunded mandate also by the state.
Yeah, yeah. The state's holding the gun to our head.
Right.
Yeah, and the two options they're tough, you know, to try to build a code that exceeds the current code and to make them.
That's the hardest part about this job, is when the upper governments above us just keep holding guns to our head and make us pass stuff we don't want to pass. The building codes, this is crazy. We'll never be able to build a home here anymore.
Well, you got one and you have trees around it, so you're good.
Thanks.
What can I say?
I think it's in the code, but I don't think that's, on there, it's not a building code on the modular. But they still have, I think, some site, you know, so no mulch within the first hour, just for safety. You know, when I do different, presentations, I try, and I get a lot of that feedback when I'm just out talking to people about their home, and they wanna know what can we do, and I said, just look at your house and, you know, where are the needles and where are the leaves, because when embers happen, they're gonna go where the needles and leaves are, and just do the best you can for that.
We worked in the fire department for 20 years here, and we've seen, you know, through Missionary Ridge and everything, but.
Yeah, I was on the Missionary Ridge Fire, I was a
Oh,
San
so
Juan
was
Hot
he.
Shots
Was he?
superintendent.
Yeah.
Yes, I was a superintendent on the San Juan Hot Shots in
Oh.
2002, that's when we started that crew, and Missionary Ridge Fire was our very first fire.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's our last one.
Yeah.
What about Adobe homes?
And I do have a copy of the X-Line presentation, the PDF that I put on the plotter that I'll leave for you. It's not as interactive as when I X-Line it, there's a PDF to have, and then we have a slot on the task force, and happy to have somebody there to talk with you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Super. Yeah.
That's just fucking great. That's just great.
Oh, that would be great, the sunshine.
Yeah, yeah, they should have stuck around for that. They missed the best part of the night.
Is there any bad news?
Okay, now that the gun's been shot.
Start putting a toll entrance.
Next up, approval of the minutes, financial statements, department reports, and attendance. First up, approval of the minutes for August 7th, 2025.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, there was some edits suggested from Attorney Goldman. I did make those edits and sent that to you all on Monday.
Does the board have any questions?
Is it for August or October?
Oh,
Oh, good call.
Yeah.
well, you know, it should be October.
It's October. It's October.
Hey, I just read what's in front of me, don't,
It's okay. I wondered when I first read it, I'm like, what, are we going back to August?
it's for October 7th, 2025. That's what's in front of it. Sorry, I didn't catch it. So,
Oh,
Go for it.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes as adjusted for October 7th, 2025.
I'll second that.
got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg,
Yes.
Trustee Hartz,
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin,
Yes.
and Mayor Ah.
Yes. Well, is it September? The September 2025 financial statements and sales tax.
I don't have anything to add unless you have questions.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the September 2025 financial statements and sales tax.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg,
Yes.
Trustee Hartz,
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin,
Yes.
and Mayor Ah.
Yes. Chief of Police report.
Good evening, Mayor, Board, everybody else is safe from me. If you have any questions on the monthly, please let me know, but I just wanted to go over a couple things. We kind of initiated code enforcement a little bit already, just to deal with some of the stuff Jeremy was dealing with about preparing the roads for plowing. So there was a lot of cars in town that were illegally parked on the roadways, so we started, out of the 20 cars that we did address, I've only had to tow 2 so far. But we did try to work our hardest with the families to have them remove them on their own. And one of them was able to remove one, the one over here off of Pine. We sent letters, we did everything, couldn't get a hold of them, but we had a tree growing through it. So we decided it was time to remove it. And then today, there's another one I've been working with the family for 40 days and gave them an extension. It still didn't come in compliance. It did do some work, but this one also had growth growing through it. We removed it today, and I know Trustee Nyberg saw that that car was now gone. And so we started doing this a month ago. We went through some training with Durango's code enforcement to make sure what we were doing was right, and everything we already put in place was right. So we're planning on going live November 1st. We'll post everything on Facebook, but our website already has the form, which I put in front of you guys today. It's a fillable form that they can download off of our website and then email it to codeenforcement@bayfieldgov.org with their complaint and the addresses for us to address. And the way it's gonna work is that the investigator, which is currently me right now, we will go out, photo everything, address it with the homeowner, send them a letter, and then tell them there's a compliance date to get by. If they don't comply, then the next step is to issue a city ordinance charge through the municipal code, and then have them go in front of our judge, and then judge will help them work out their issues, and if not, like if there's a car parked on the property that isn't not compliant, because I can only go onto the easements and tow them without the judge's order, but if they're on the private property and they're not up to code, I have to have the judge's order to go on the private property to remove it. So what the goal is compliance. The goal is not to have anybody in
reached out to every tow service that the police departments in our area use, and worked out a thing with them to make sure that we have the lowest cost. So what we've kind of worked out is that if the owner has the title to the vehicle, it's like a junk vehicle, they can't even drive, is that they can contact the tow company, turn the title over to them, and it should be free of charge. And if it's not, that's where I can step in. Since I'm D&D certified, I can go in and do bill of sales after I follow the routine of certified letters, making contact, attempting to make contact, and if they don't do anything, then I have lawful power to do a bill of sale and turn it over to the tow companies. So we did a lot of research before we implemented anything. A lot of this stuff was started a couple of years ago. I think they wanted to start the program, but it wasn't built right. And so I tweaked it over the course of the past year and a half to make sure that what we were doing is lawful and that we're trying not to get the citizens of Bayfield any fees or fines. We're trying to avoid that at all costs. The second thing, do you have any questions on the code?
How long of a timeline do you give them, like 30 days?
30 days?
30 days.
Okay, if it's on public roadways or public right-of-ways, I can give them a 48-hour tag. And I put that on the window, and I knock on the door, I try to make contact with them. If I don't make contact with them, I don't go by the 48 hours, I wait until I actually make contact with the homeowner or the car owner.
So the timeline starts when you make contact?
For
Okay.
me, it does.
For
I don't
you.
want the sticker just to say that's when it starts, because if they don't see the sticker for a couple of days, then it's, so I want to make contact before I make any
Right.
decision on towing a vehicle.
Thank you.
Is this for building building things? No.
So when we do get a town planner, according to the way the job description is for the code enforcement officer, is that they will work with the town planner in assisting them and doing the investigations, do the photographs, and then if they don't comply, work with the town planner on the municipal charge. Again, we're trying not to do any charges at all.
Okay.
I'm
And
glad you're
so if-
starting this. I'm glad you're starting
Yeah,
this.
me too.
We've had, when I towed that car today, I had residents driving by, winding on their windows, clapping, and it's the same thing.
I know, I was so glad. It was like, oh, did Nicole come back? Because I think the last time you guys drove around and looked at cars, Nicole was here. So it's been a long time. And that car on Mesa has been sitting there for that long. It's a year. It's been sitting there a year.
Which one's on Mesa?
The one at the end.
The Subaru?
Yeah.
Well, he's got valid tags on it now.
Yeah, I know he took care of it, but it's like, when are Nicole and the chief gonna come around again?
The other one that was the camper that was parked the wrong way is in his driveway now, because I told them.
Oh, I didn't notice that one.
So, yeah.
That's across the street.
The vehicle?
Never
house?
mind. I'll tell you
I talked to
later.
them, so yeah, they moved their stuff.
I saw it down there today.
No, I knew things were moving forward when Officer Stritzel was out there and he was looking at the VIN again. And I'm like, it was just a matter of time.
Well, he was looking at it because my eyes really do work, but when you see all the scratches on VINs of a car that's 1995 has been weathered so bad, I had one letter wrong, so I had to go back out and figure out which letter I had. Reference to 631 South West Street, the one Mr. Black had been complaining about for the past 2 meetings. He is in compliance now, he did the trip. So the easement and the right of way is open.
Oh, okay.
Is that the one?
Comply with our letters.
Awesome.
Good. That's great news.
The second thing is that during the fire up in Forest Lakes that happened over the summer, I got contacted by the FCC saying that every radio transmission that was done on the White Channel was illegal because the White Channel's FCC license was expired. I had no idea. My office had no idea. The town hall had no idea. So I had to do some research and found out that the FCC license for the White Channel, which is owned by the Bayfield Police Department, expired in 2021. And no one renewed it. So I did some research. The renewal was $950, but we can't get it right now because the federal government's shut down. But once they open up, we'll get our license. But it was cheaper to do a license, a renewal for 10 years than it was to reprogram all of our cars and all of our radios to delete it. And then the county would have to delete it. We just expect would have deleted, would have been thousands of dollars. And so I decided that it was probably beneficial for us to renew the license, because we do use it as an emergency backup.
So is that what the white channel is for emergencies?
The white channel is the backup to the brown channel. The brown channel is the La County Sheriff's Office whole channel, and if something goes into an emergency where they have to shut down that channel, everybody goes to white to talk. So it's the backup channel.
So backup, okay.
I think Durango has blue 1 and blue 2. So blue 1 is the primary, blue 2 is when they shut down the primary because there's a major incident going on, which they have been doing a lot lately. Outside of that, I think we did have the homecoming. The parade went off very, very well. We had a lot of good moving parts that went. We found some things at the end that we'll probably have to tweak for next year. But other than that, I mean, it was very well done. And the kids and everybody enjoyed it.
Well, I just want to put out a thing to Officer Moreland, the SRO. He does a great job at the schools, and I really appreciate everything he does there. So just let him know that.
I know he's taken that whole job to heart, and he's done a terrific job.
Yeah, he's done a really great job, so I appreciate that, because I work in the schools, so.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is somebody filling in for Jeremy, or are we just reading it?
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, you can read what you've got there. Obviously, there's, we had an addendum that Jeremy put forward to talk about the flooding incidents, what we've worked on there. We have received some complaints in the Appaloosa area. That is one of those areas where there's some homes that are built in a hole. They've been there since long before it became part of the town of Bayfield. The drainage, we actually went, personally, I was out there, I muddied up a good pair of shoes, walking around looking at the retention ponds for the Pine River Commons they were holding. Not only did they hold, but I know Jeremy actually went out there, and even though we probably shouldn't have been doing it on private property, we put sandbags out there to make sure that, you know, if something happened, it wouldn't get over, but it never even got to the edge of that. So those were holding, but what was happening is the drainage from the adjacent property, which I believe is a church, was flowing down into that hole. And there are some residents down there that have basements that did report some damage. I know that our folks were out there that day with rakes and shovels trying to clean their culverts off on their driveways. Some of the driveways did clog up with material, so our folks went out there to try to clear it out, and they did get it uncleared fairly quickly. But again, when you're down in a hole and you've got that much rain coming down, it's a tough deal. So this isn't necessarily an issue that the town is responsible for. Obviously, we're concerned anytime there are folks flooded, but it seems to be an issue between private landowners in the area, because we were paying close attention to the retention pond there in Pine River Commons, and it looks like it held, it was done right. Mustang Crossing, as we know, hasn't been completed yet. We requested that they do some work through our engineer to comply with our standards for drainage. Hopefully that will happen soon. My hope is it doesn't rain until it does, but I know that we have had some discussions between the developer and the town engineer to talk about making sure that the outfall structure flows the right direction, or that there was some indication that it was designed or built in properly. That will hopefully be fixed fairly soon. Maybe the rain would encourage folks to move a little quicker on some of that. As far as the flow of that subdivision, that's not addressed in this, other than that one retention pond that seems to have had issues with its design. We still hold up the permits on that until that is corrected. That was done by my predecessor, until that complies with our drainage requirements. But obviously, we've got other problems that are above and beyond that, as we addressed earlier in the meeting. So that's something that, again, Jeremy and I are going to be working on. Drainage is at the top of our mind right now, but we're not going to solve all the problems in that Appaloosa you see an elevator, it's got a sump down below it that collects the water, and they have a pump that basically, it's like your condensation pump on your system that pumps it out. You know, maybe that's something that some of these folks that have those low-lying areas need to invest in, is put a small sump pump or something down into their basement so that, that's pumped out. But it's kind of tough when you build or buy a house in a hole. It's kind of tough to get that water out of that hole, and I think that's what they ran into in that one neighborhood. It's, you know, we can certainly try to make sure that from this point on, we don't have any of those situations develop, but there are some that we kind of inherited that, I know Jeremy and his folks did try real hard even on private things like those culverts to keep them clear. And I think they did save some water from going into some places because they did get out there really quick. I mean, right in the middle of one of those downpours, I was out there watching the guys, and while they were getting soaked, they were digging stuff out as fast as they could to keep it from clogging up those little bar-ditch drains that were on the side of the road there at the parkway. So, again, a lot of work to do. I'm going to continue to recommend that every year we have a good solid drainage project off of our, off of our plan, because there is a lot of work there to do.
Speaking of water, did you investigate that water leak on Mississippi?
Yes.
Yeah, see, and Jeremy has been out there. He's looked at it. We're not convinced that that's a city water line. In fact, it may be along a ditch line. He was going to go do some investigation and maybe talk to some of the folks that are out there. It's not damaging the road as of yet. I went out there and looked at it as well. I know we had one person that was concerned that it was causing a rut in the road. I don't think it's to that point yet. And Jeremy thinks it might even be natural. As you know, the Buck Highway drainage is coming out right now as we speak. Every year you guys deal with that, and that's a spring that pops up on the side of the hill. Probably has been here since your ranch.
It's been here forever.
It's been a long time. So this could be the case with all the extra rain that we've had. Some of this may be a little bit more prevalent right now, but he's aware of the problem. He's watching it. If it does appear that it's our water line, obviously we're going to go out and we're going to fix it.
Yeah, I'm just concerned freeze thaw. We're in that season, and that road right there has multiple divots in it. There's one at the beginning that, if you hit it wrong, you're probably gonna drop your front end. So, it's just something that, hopefully we can come to some sort of conclusion with.
We're going to continue to watch it, and I know Jeremy and I talked a little bit about it, that exact thing, what happens in the wintertime when it starts freezing, because we all know that it expands and it pops all your surfacing off at that point. So he's going to pay close attention to it and see what happens to it. But right now, we don't want to be digging up a ditch line, that's for sure. That's their baby. We don't want to inadvertently damage a ditch line and affect that. So maybe when the irrigation season stops, we can sit down with the ditch company that has that particular line that's in that general area and see if we can't determine which one it is.
See, the line goes straight down. It doesn't go down Mississippi.
Where about is Mississippi?
718. It's right in front of his house. And so your guys' water, remember where my old house was?
Yes.
Your line goes straight that way. It doesn't go down the highway. No. So I don't believe that's the ditch company.
The ditch that comes through there for the irrigation, it's off and it's been drained. That's a siphon that's underneath that road.
Yeah,
And that road, that ditch right there is about 12, 12.5 feet deep.
yeah. So I think and it's more in the middle of the street where I think the water line is. So I would just be a little bit more, I guess, diligent on watching that, because eventually it's going to go into the water meters that have a battery that, it's going to lead to bigger problems.
How
So
long has this been going on, if you don't mind me asking?
about 3 weeks.
About 3 weeks? Okay, now, see the stormwater pond down there, which is normally dry. It has, ever since I've turned the water off, we've had that pond down there in Mesa Meadows. It's been pretty full. And I don't know if maybe could be.
No, it's because where this resident sits up higher.
See something coming down.
Yeah.
Like a line to that point, to the low point.
Yeah.
Path of least resistance.
It's
into the stormwater.
Yeah, I don't think it's irrigation. I think it's more,
I think it's more, yeah.
Water
our
line.
Irrigation has been off since first of October.
yeah. And he's even been out there and swept it with a broom, and then like a day later, it's back running down, so. I would just keep an eye on it, so.
Well, we did talk about it, and he said he was gonna ask some questions of the
Yeah.
irrigation folks, so
Yeah,
you
just
may
tell
have
them to get
answered
a hold
those
of me,
things.
please.
And
I'll be more than glad to help.
yeah, we'll definitely pay attention. If it's a water line, we need to get out there and fix it anyway. I don't like losing water anyway.
Well, I lived on that street, so I know where the Ludwig's irrigation goes, and so I know that's not anywhere near the irrigation. I think it's more of a main line. So,
We will check on it.
thank you, sir.
Anything else?
Nope.
HR?
Okay, good evening. All right, so I've got my HR director report. Two things really I just want to address. We have made an offer for our town planner with an anticipated start date of December 1st. He will start a few days a week, and then his family will move after their kids are done with school, and then really be here full-time beginning of the year. So he's going to come middle of November, Veterans Day, so hopefully we're here and he's here, we make arrangements, but we're excited to have someone here, so hopefully this will work out.
What's his name? Yeah, where did he come from?
He came from Kansas, and she's still got a little bit, I'm gonna hold off on the name, but.
Oh, okay,
he's from
okay.
Kansas. He is familiar with our area, has been here, visited lots of times, so he's excited to be here.
He worked for a small community in Colorado as well, so he is very, very familiar with Gunnison. He's there all the time, and, so he's pretty familiar with this area, but he wants to move here. And if you're in sports, he's got a kid that's a cross-country runner, so, that's always an advantage to us. We've got a good team in Bayfield from that, so. He did have very good experience coming from the municipalities and the counties that he's worked with in planning, so I think we'll definitely benefit from his experience. Good attitude too. I mean, I think he'll do well talking to citizens, and that's important to me as well. I want to make sure that, the community, he's able to be a planner, but also be a human when he talks to the community, so that's an important thing.
Absolutely.
And he's gonna be here Veterans Day, but,
Yeah, Monday and Tuesday, so the 10th and 11th.
but he won't actually start on the 3 days until December 1st. Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
And let's see, chili cook-off, that date is going to be Wednesday, November 18th. Sorry, if you look on the next sheet, the HR corner. There's the chili cook-off. Christy Cesaro wanted to attend, and so more information coming on that, but we'd love to have you all there. Make
Where are you doing it? Senior
Where?
Center?
No, we're gonna do it here. Yeah, because they also have, food that day.
Oh, they're cooking that day.
So next year, I
Day
will
is
plan
it?
it on a Tuesday, so we can do it over there. I wanted to include the HR corner just so you see what it looks like going out to staff. And then the last couple pages, I just wanted to go over, just the fees that we have been paid this past year for the payroll department. As you know, last year, once we started, it was a crazy transition. But I feel now we are finally, last couple months, we've got the GL code situated. It's not taking us long to run payroll. So I would say I'm spending maybe an hour for the week after processing payroll, uploading all the information to Para, FPPA, and the GL code, and then processing payroll depending on the week. If it's a pretty easy week, I'd say two hours. If we've got a holiday or we've got new hires and need to make sure to add in raises and things like that, then it might be 4 hours depending. So previous employee was spending about 20 hours on it, and now we've kind of cut that down to max, I would say, 5 hours for 2 weeks. So the first page is the cost for 2025, and we, the average employee number of checks per paycheck, per biweekly payroll is around 40. And so the total estimated was $9,607.76. If you go to the next page, flip it over, it says payroll fees on the right-hand side. You go all the way to the bottom where that total is. Currently, with 21 payrolls, we have spent $7,884.07. So pretty much we've got 6 more payrolls, so probably, around $9,761.23, or depending on how many rec employees we have on payroll, it could be around $10,000. So really, we're pretty close to what we were estimated with last year. The next page is going over anticipated costs for 2026. Last year, we got a quote for 40 employees. Reality, we probably have anywhere between 40 and 55 people on the payroll, and we are charged for active employees. So yes, we may only have, 30 to 35 full-time employees, but when we have 15 rec employees on the payroll, that increases the cost. I did talk to them today about inactivating rec employees that maybe aren't working a special season, so we can kind of inactivate them for a couple months and then turn them back on, during basketball season to save us some money as well. So for 50 people, on average for a year, we're looking at $10,571.84. They have removed the Colorado Family Management because we opted out of Colorado Family. And under the monthly services, they also made a note about rake security awareness training. We already have no before training that comes with our CIRSA workers' comp, so we do not need to pay that fee there. I will say on our W-2, since we are paying past employees for the previous year, that number is going to be higher. I don't exactly know what that is, but I would say maybe around 70 to 80, depending on how many employees we have come through the year. So I just wanted to kind of be upfront, kind of show you where we've kind of gone this past year and what it looks like for upcoming year. They are pretty easy to work with, so I'm happy. I know ISOL isn't perfect, but the supervisors do the best they can. So yeah, any questions?
No,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next is the budget work session attendance.
Yeah, so we had a couple budget sessions, and they're getting priorities and things straightened out. So I did put all 3 of those meetings lumped in on that work session attendance.
Does it matter what the first one is called? Because to me, that was a priority meeting. It wasn't a budget work session, but was it called a budget work session? I guess.
It was. That's how it was agendized. It's something that was started by Ms. Sickles as well. It was always, the work session always started with priorities, kind of to make sure the budget's aligned with the board's priorities. Okay. And even though there wasn't attendance, I was your vote by proxy. I got to put your dots up on the thing, and
yes,
yeah, and it was anonymous.
Yeah.
I didn't even tell anybody who did what. I just went around and did it.
Perfect. Perfect. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the attendance report for the budget work sessions.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg?
Yes.
Trustee Hartz?
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin?
Yes.
And Mayor Ah.
Yes. Action agenda and liquor license renewal. First up is Tequila's liquor license renewal.
I did reach out to Chief Hogue, as I always do, on liquor license renewals on both them and Family Dollar. Always surprises me when I see the Family Dollar one hit my desk, and I received zero negative feedback on either one.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we recommend Tequila's liquor license renewal.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Any public input? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg?
Yes.
Trustee Hartz?
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin?
Yes.
And Mayor Ah.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Family Dollar liquor license renewal.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Any public input? Roll call, please.
Trustee Nyberg?
Yes.
Trustee Hartz?
Yes.
Trustee McLaurin?
Yes.
And Mayor Ah.
Yes. Town manager evaluation.
Okay, so last time I was here, I was directed to find some performance evaluations that were a little more comprehensive, as the one that we had used in the past was a little simple. So I found two, and you have, two choices. In all seriousness, it really covers, there's 10 topics. They're very similar in the topics that they address for the town manager. In talking with town manager Waters, he prefers the first one. So it really is up to you which one you would like to use for this year.
I like the first one,
I
too.
like the first one too. The
First one.
simpler the better.
Okay, so I worked on this one today. My plan is to put it in a Microsoft form. And so you're kind of just going through and selecting the number, right? 5 for outstanding, 3 for, whatever, proficient, to try to make it easy to kind of assess the skills and competency areas. So I will work on that and get that out. Do you have a date that you would like for me to send the link out for you to review? I'm not sure what the town attorney's
Wasn't there-
goal is, if anything, during this.
Yeah, the only thing that the town manager mentions is our contract calls for a November or thereabouts sort of evaluation. So really, if your town manager's copacetic and you've got some sort of schedule, you should strive to try and get the evaluation taken care of by November and offer feedback to the town manager by that point. But if you happen to go into December because of other priorities,
I can
depending
do-
on how the town manager feels.
I could do my review right now. I think
I
he's
can
doing
do
a
it
great
too,
job.
yeah. I know.
I don't need to
It's
fill
like
out
you
the
read my mind
paperwork.
with that budget. I can do it right
You
now.
probably should do that for purposes of fulfilling the
Right.
contract,
Right.
and just so that we have something in
I understand.
John's file.
I understand that
So
part.
our first meeting is on voting night, and our second meeting is the week of Thanksgiving. Are we doing both of
No,
those?
it's the week before Thanksgiving.
Oh, it's the week before Thanksgiving. Oh, okay. So could we do it the week before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, let's do that.
Does that work?
And then that gives me time to make it and send it out.
Does that give you-
And then if there's any, summary, detail, prettiness that we can do to make it easy for, the attorney or, him to view, I don't know how that process goes, but then that gives us a little more time to put that all together.
Okay. Is that okay with you, John?
That's just fine, whatever you guys need.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. Sounds like we're good.
Thanks, Mike.
Board of Trustee reports, requests, let's see. Oh, we did the proclamation at the school. I thought that went well. I haven't heard anything back or seen anything posted anywhere. I'm guessing it all went well with the school district. They seemed pretty happy when we were there. So that went well, and I don't think I had anything else. Mr. Nyberg went to the planning commission for me, so Trustee Harts?
I'm just super thrilled at this budget. I can't tell you how happy I am. I am so happy to know that we're not going into reserves this year, to know like everything that needed to be split out got split out. Things are put in the right place. It's easy to read. It's, I mean, supplemental things like this are just well done. Exceedingly well done. Thank you.
The first time we haven't dipped into the reserve since Chris LeMay was here. It's great. Excellent job.
I agree.
Right.
Thank you.
Trustee McLaurin?
Nothing to report.
Trustee Nyberg?
As you said, I did attend the planning commission meeting. It was brought up by SGM that they wanted to apply for a $50,000 grant for affordable housing, and I questioned, haven't we met our affordable housing commitment? And I was told yes. So I don't know where they're at moving forward with that, so.
And Trustee Nyberg, I can answer that. They probably didn't put it forward as, it was, it should have been SEH.
Oh, sorry, SCH.
It was, our planner was doing this. You remember the folks that were talking today about the $50,000 incentive to get our fast track ordinance moving? That's what they were asking to consider. And I will tell you, this will, it kind of came in earlier than I wanted to get an opportunity to talk to you guys all about it, but understand that a lot of what that's requiring, we already do for regular, it's getting your permits out on time, being diligent, your building permit people in their reviews. We've actually got a pretty good record for that. So it was a real easy deal for us to put an ordinance together that basically already says what we already do with everything, not just the affordable housing. But the state's problem was some people are sitting on these projects, reviewing them forever. Apparently there are some jurisdictions to
the
where
county.
when you ask for a permit, you don't see it back for a year. And they want to try to fast track that to get the review through so that it moves it through, because if you're a builder, the longer you wait, the more money you've got on the line, and in an affordable situation, your overhead, is, the profit margin is about like this, and the time creeps up and it kind of kicks it out of profitability. So it's kind of already a dicey project if you're building that type of thing. That's why there's a lot of other funding things that are attached to it, that these folks were, had programs that they administered. But with us, it's kind of an easy deal, because we can submit that, get the ordinance passed through the council, and if we do it before their deadline, they give us 50, and we can use that 50 on pretty much anything related to any kind of growth in town. I planned on taking that 50 and using it to help us bridge the county issue we've got with that $750,000 if we needed it. I mean, that was just 50 of the 750 that we needed. So that's what I'm moving forward with on that. So unfortunately, they didn't. And I was at another place at that time where I would have come and explained that to the commission. But that's what that's for. It's to try to show that we've got a streamlined system to get these things through our process in a reasonable manner, so that the projects can continue to move forward, whether it's pro or against. If they're not, obviously the review is going to determine whether or not they've met the requirements of the Uniform Building Code or the development rules that we have, whatever the case is. It just gives us a 90-day period that we need to get it done by. And in my review of what we've got going, we've actually got a pretty good system here. Surprising considering the amount of growth we have, they're able to get that through fairly quick. And I've talked with both our planning folks. I'm going to have a long meeting with our new planner coming in to make sure that we continue to move forward. Even when we start to grow and get bigger things in, we want to make sure that we have the ability to review that even though that's not an affordable, let's say a hotel, a small hotel. We want to make sure we review that in a reasonable amount of time, because that's revenue for us when it gets put up. So we don't want to be known as a town that's slow on our review and our process, and that's what that's for. It's just to put something in place that says our process is quick, and we don't have any delays that are caused by us not doing our jobs or us slowing something down, that we're gonna try to always meet that 90-day deadline. Even though it's not absolutely required in there, something does happen, we can.
That's a better explanation than what she gave, so I appreciate that.
I wish I knew that was gonna draw some questions, but, we were talking about earlier today, people kept these, they keep bringing this up. I thought, man, they brought that up early. I wanted to be able to explain what that was. But that's what that is, and hopefully, when that's brought before the council, I'll have an opportunity to sit down with Nancy and make sure that those bases are covered, because all of you have those same questions when you were hearing that. I saw that everybody, what does grant tail? What are we locking ourselves into?
Right.
And those are the questions I ask when I hear about that. But this is actually an incentive that's provided by the state to tell everybody that we're gonna continue to move forward on our process, which we've done on everything that we have. If it's slowed down, it's because somebody else has thrown a monkey wrench into the process. So our process is, again, pretty good for a town our size. I'm satisfied with it. There are improvements, and this new planner is going to help me with that, but I think we're well on track to be ready to handle whatever growth that we see coming up.
Well, I appreciate that explanation. It was so much better than what we received, so thank you.
Well, it's pretty obvious to me that our process works pretty well, because we got so many people trying to annex in from the county that, because their process is so burdensome that nobody wants to go through it. So that speaks for itself.
Yes, sir. And again, we have to continue to make sure that we keep our infrastructure up. I mean, all of these things, drainage, infrastructure, water, we need to make sure that all of this is, we keep up with it, because you can't drop the ball on any of that when you're growing. So I'm, hopefully the planner's gonna help me do that, and it sounds like he's got some good experience to help with bigger towns than we are, so.
I guess my last question to you is, how are we looking at Homestead and the sewer issue there?
So, right now, what we have is, for those of you that aren't aware, there are several places out there that, I guess the word got around, that you don't have to pay your sewer bill if you're, you're out of the city limits. And unfortunately, we have people that have done that multiple years in a row. Currently, what's being done is Kathy has to go to the county, deal with the county to have a property tax assessment to.
Well, the town clerk will actually do a tax levy right now to collect on those bills.
It takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of paperwork, and it doesn't solve the problem, because those people continue to do it year after year after year.
Correct.
So we have two problems with our sewer system. Number one, we've got no way to shut off their water to get their attention and say, hey, you need to come in and pay your bill, because they're obviously on another water system. The second problem is something that I have run into, and it happened to me because we had some extraterritorial areas that were out of the city limits, and we had an unscrupulous septic caller go and pump out a body shop sump, which was filled with all kinds of lovely solvents. And twice this happened to us. We caught him the second time because somebody saw something and said something about it. But they basically found a place that was outside of the city limits, a quiet little area in the middle of the night. They opened up the manhole and they dumped everything into the system. I incurred the fine and the notice of violation in my town, even though it was outside of the city limits. And the EPA promptly reminded me that all NPDES permits have in it language that says you are responsible for what you put in the river, which means there is nothing we could do to stop somebody from flushing something down the drain that they shouldn't do. So you've got two problems that are there. One is an immediate one, cash flowing the sewer system. You've got large amounts, and some of these folks, what are we at with some of these bills? 4,000, 5,000?
Yeah, we did then the brighter spot. We did collect one this week, and it's the power of my highlighter because I send delinquent letters every month. It's the first thing you can do before you run the billing cycle. So we did collect on one. There are still several out there, and they do range anywhere from $1,000 to $4,000.
Wow.
So my solution to that, and it may only have to be done once, but I believe that we really need to take a long, hard look again, because they asked for annexation at one point in the past, and these issues weren't considered, I understand, when the annexation request came before the town board at the time. This, had I been there, I would have recommended heavily to bring them in, because the costs that we incur are 7-figure fines from the EPA if we pollute the river, and then we're liable for being sued by all the downstream users, and that would include our fine neighbors here, but also the Native Americans that are downstream hold a lot of sway. So I'm really a little nervous about that. I want to see how we can protect that. So that's one of the things that I've started asking the staff to do, is evaluate what it's going to take to annex that area in, because it's a high concentration of those bills that are not being paid. And maybe just the annexation, that alone, will make the others, because they're not the only ones that are doing that. We've got some in Jim Village, we've got some others in town. Maybe this will serve as an example that people better get in and pay their bills, but it still doesn't solve the liability problem that we have with the sewer system. So we may have to sit down with our attorney and come up with a better contract, that if we have an extraterritorial sewer, that we have some type of authority to enforce rules on them, that all of us as citizens here that flush our toilets in town, we know we don't dump something down the drain that's gonna kill Jeremy's plant. It doesn't take much. We don't have a very big plant. One jar of a certain type of pesticide would wipe us out for 2 weeks. So, and you can trace that back and enforce on the people that have done that. That can be easily found. If they're out of town and they open up a manhole somewhere, that's not as easily traceable unless somebody saw them and reported a vehicle out there doing that. So, it could be as easy as somebody coming across from New Mexico doing it. I had people dumping in arroyos and all kinds of things. So that's a concern of mine, and I am seriously considering, the prospect of annexing that neighborhood in, just so that we can control that situation. But it still won't solve the liability problem that we've got out there, and that's something that I'm gonna need to sit down with the state of Colorado and talk about, because they kind of forced you guys to put all of those folks on the sewer system without the thought to what happens if somebody goes out there and does an illegal dump on us. I mean, it could be somebody just driving through.
Correct.
Just trying to get rid of stuff. That's not unheard of. I mean, it's common in some places. In Mexico, too common. It killed my plant twice. It took me weeks to recover my plant, and I had a plant that had a 6 million gallon a day capacity, far, far larger than yours. And so if you can think of what that would do to a small plant, if somebody dumped a full load of something ugly in the system. So I take that seriously, because I've seen those notices of violation from the EPA. I've had to pay fines before, and it's just something that we don't need. If we know about it ahead of time, that's the best way to stop it, is before it happens. So those are going to be things that we're going to have to discuss, and it won't be a popular thing. I'm sure some folks aren't going to want to come in, but the fact is, they signed those agreements with us when they wanted the sewer. Those are pre-annexation agreements, and unfortunately, there are people out there that take advantage of the situation and ruin it for everybody. That's what's happened right now. So.
Right. Well, I appreciate you working on that. Thank you.
You mean like the pitchforks and torches? We gotta solve the problem somehow. We're responsible for it.
Upcoming dates of interest. I got a question on this one. So is the election gonna, oh no, they're doing elections out of the library, huh? We're not doing them
Yeah.
here anymore. Okay. So Board of Trustee meeting on 11/4/25 at 6:30. Election day is also 11/4/25. Get out and vote. Town offices are closed for Veterans Day on 11/11, and Planning Commission at 11/13/25. And with that, I'll adjourn this meeting at 9:15.
Is that you or me? For the planning commission?
I don't know yet.
All right.
So he's coming in and you're not gonna be here.